Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. It's the Summer Bash, baby! Go crazy, get wild, throw a shirt around, flip a car. I'm D'Lo here in the booth, joined by Musi right by my side. Oh yeah, it's gonna get insane. We got our friends Tess, your almighty eye in the sky, joined by the Morton man, Jithin's the man behind the curtain, and you watching at home. Summer Bash. Now, what is that, Musi? What are we doing here?
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing here. We're playing Smite 2 in the summer. We're bashing around. Woo! Right?
Woo!
Wow, that was good. But specifically, we're going to be playing some Joust on the North American servers, playing for that big prize of $525 to the winning team. So there is quite a bit on the line here, D'Lo. So we got to take a look at the teams that are going to be playing for today.
Are there over 100? Are there over 100? Not quite, but still a decent selection of peeps coming at it. And it makes sense, of course. The smaller format means smaller teams, means there's room for more teams. Now, last time we saw some Joust action for the Summer Bash Music, it was on the EU side of things, across the pond, across the oceans. But there's still quite a few NA players that decided to take a dip. So I'm curious to see if any EU players this time want to get their toes in the water.
Oh. We'll be able to put our eyes on it, but I'm especially interested to see how our first set goes. You know, I got a little insider info, right, on who we got coming up for us. And I'm especially curious because I'm pretty sure one of these teams might just take the whole thing. So to have this be the first round of the day is going to have some pretty heavy implications for the bracket moving forward. Without yanking your chain too much here, D'Lo, Inferno versus BennyQ. Right? And I think that's going to be very, very critical. Like Inferno, really strong ADC player, but also was just a Joust grinder back in the day. Like, that was his roots. Dude was just playing in the Joust queues. So they're up against BennyQ, the last victor, I believe, of the Joust games.
Yep. The thing is, versus human nature, P's and B's coming at you right now. And we're going to see if this first rounder is maybe indicative of how this entire tournament could end up playing out. Now, we did get some standard Smite Prime action yesterday. I'll tell you the gods that we were seeing a lot of. The Discordia was certainly a top presence. But we also saw a lot of those jungle picks being high prioritized. Nowadays, though, in the Joust, the condensed field, is a Thor's value is high. We saw last time around Musi in a similar setting with the same map. 2 tanks can often, and a kind of third pseudo tank is oftentimes one of the ways to go. That being said, there are always more pathways to victory, so maybe, just maybe, we'll see some different strats.
Well, when we look about like what's powerful and where, Proxlop is still incredibly good for mages, at least until that penetration patch that we got coming up. I'm very excited.
Super excited about that.
Cannot wait for Tuesday just to get my hands on that. But that is the future. Let's talk about the now, right? Proxlop's still really good. That means we're building Soul Reaver. That means we're building Totem of Death, right? For our mages. And for our tanks, I think everybody is kind of caught up on what really works for tanks. And it started with Prophetic Cloak being picked up more often, but ever since that Deathwalker video, the cat's entirely out of the bag. If you weren't in the know before, you are absolutely in the know now. Being able to build your Rada Tahuti tank items just kind of inflates your tankiness to levels unbeknownst to man or god. And even though Joust gold spooling is not as strong as Conquest, these higher level teams can drag a game out to 20-25 minutes, so you can get quite a bit going online. So reliably, tanks are going to be able to finish a Breastplate of Determination, a Berserker Shield, a Draconic Scales. It's very, very likely.
Bans coming through here, and keep in mind, folks, the bans are elected in isolation, so neither team knows what the other team has banned. So I see a past ban coming out actually from Human Nature. Tanks abound here. Guan Yu for the side of the thing is taking away the Atlas from BennyQ, one of their prime picks in the last tournament we saw when they were in the EU Joust. Makes sense. Charon as well, and the Cab on the other side. It is all beefy boys.
I'll be interested to see if the cab is locked in, if it goes aspect or non-aspect, because I feel like ever since the cab aspect saw some nerfs, some changes, it just hasn't been as prevalent, but BennyQ really likes to play these traditional support characters in the mid lane, right? Where, you know, Atlas and Charon are also BennyQ picks, like you mentioned before, but when you also have players like Slayer on the team, there's another player that really prefers mages, so that's why you see that Hecate there as well.
Okay. Hoi Yi is going to be the response from Human Nature. A lot of
It's gotta
player-made
be
structures
Inferno.
here in this game in general. And when that is the case, with the Joust map being where we currently sit, it means a lot more impact. Those corridors can easily be blocked off by the suns being called down or the tectonic shift from Cab, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some shells, especially from Human Nature, since two of those members are blocked off by them.
Well, not even the player-made walls and everything like that. Shell is another one of those items that is just really good right now. If you're not building upgraded shell on your tanks, you're really very much so missing out. Like, it just makes you super, super tanky, but especially good here for the thing is because it reduces damage taken from basic attacks, and the Ho Yi here is going to be dealing almost exclusively basic attack damage because, you know, they're that ranged hunter character. It's worth noting that between these two teams, Human Nature has crazy huge circles, right? I'm talking Atlas ult, the Charon ult, the Hoyi ult, all these just barrel down a lane and deny so much space. The thing is, Hecate has that ability too with Open the Gates, and it's, you know, the ability to kind of flip-flop a fight with that ultimate could potentially force some beads away from Human Nature. So I really like the draft on both sides here for different reasons. We're definitely playing to our strengths.
I like the drafts, I like the players. I like to get into the game, and I think we will be rather shortly. First round coming at you here. The thing is Human Nature. Once again, two teams that you could definitely expect to make their way further in the bracket in a normal day, but given that these two titans will be encountering each other so early on, only one can advance.
So we do see Cabrakan does not have the aspect. Benny Q,
I like
in
that.
fact, has a Sunder there too. I like it too. Cabrakan is a great character for locking people down. You've got a bunch of stuns. You have a cripple, a tremble, and that ultimate. You do see the two shells, Timer, 1K, and Raspy will have them. But Sunder, while giving you a lot of damage, you lose a lot of survivability. And I do worry about that for a character like Cabrakan. Like, they're in the mix. They are committed to a fight. They can't really leave. So that's why you have Zav standing next to them with that aspect Guan Yu to offer a ton of healing and a ton of sustain that the Cab will need to keep the fight going.
Well, what's also nice about this Cab is, on that one, they are root immune, so even that Swift Voyage that you just saw right there will normally not be able to root them once Benny Q gets all buffed up. That being said, it's scuffed up. Dropped down to about half thanks to the poke, but the Guan Yu will get you right back up to full in just a moment. It is going to get picked up, that red buff, by Benny Q, so solid work by the thing is to stay firm around that little bit of farm.
Sands of time there for Zav on the Guan Yu with the aspect. Very
Yikes.
well-known build here, right? Because think about what your Guan Yu is doing. You are pressing Conviction over and over and over again. That's your heal, right?
Yep.
Just so you can get constant healing, but also, you know, you get a little bit more healing because of that heal over time. So as long as you're able to spam it, the health bar doesn't move.
Ooh. Spamming down those stuns. Tal sold as well to shred some of those prots off of Timer 1K. Now this purple buff might be going the way of Benny Q and the rest of the boys once more. Conviction heals come out. The buff is picked up, and there is no way out. They do have the Phantom Shell, though, and a Swift Voyage, but here comes the Open the Gates. Will not catch. That Swift Voyage was able to get enough distance, but the Cavalry Charge catches right back up. The Mez will bring them down. Slayer grabs first blood.
So when Slayer activates that Open the Gates, it forces the dash away from Raspy, but because you have Zav with this Guan Yu ultimate, they'll be able to catch up to that Charon there. And keep in mind, the thing is, reach level 5 before Human Nature did because they were able to contest and confirm that purple buff. Experience is so important on this Joust map because there's none. Like anywhere, you have two neutral camps and your blue camp on your side, and then your wave to farm. So farming becomes incredibly important in this game mode. You have to stick together so you are splitting everything properly. And the thing is, just has a bit more confirm when it comes to their buffs. Like Hecate is able to deal a bunch of damage, either, you know, kind of up close or at range because of her shield and her dispel magic and everything there. But also Benny Q kind of forces a lot of space. They have all those stuns that we talked about earlier. Human Nature a little bit behind on the draw. Like, yeah, you have Bluestone on Timer 1K and Raspy, but you're not building any damage to go with that yet. In fact, Sage Ring, Legionnaire Armor, Sage Ring, Manatome. So a Genji's for Timer 1K, a Prophetic Cloak for Raspy might be hard to stack in Joust.
Tectonic Shift for Charon as well. The laser gets charged up, but I don't think they're really too concerned with timer anymore. Cavalry Charge going to find the stun, but the summon sticks. Pulverizes of Reese. And if they didn't even get the kill, the tower certainly would have off the back of the fear. Bit too heavy of an investment there on top of Charon when timer seemed to be the real threat. The Mez will be ignored by the Frame 1 Hover Dash, and Human Nature answer back with a kill of their own.
Man, Raspi's ultimate hit like a truck. That was ridiculous. I almost thought for a second that maybe somebody got feared into the tower. Wow. But luckily, Kabrakin, you said it before, Dila, once they get all buffed up, root immune, that movement speed, it's very important. But also one of the lesser, maybe not lesser known, but lesser acknowledged things about Kabrakin is that 5% damage mitigation aura that they have. So they're always a little bit more tanky, and they can really keep fighting.
Displacement immune for Guan Yu and the Tal Assault as well. Shrugs off Atlas's pull. And that's going to be something really you have to watch out for, since Timer 1K is a lot of the CC initiation here for Human Nature. You know what's also interesting, Muzi? When you're reduced to a 3v3 format, Atlas in that pull, he can't do damage to you. So now there's only 2 people who can wail on whoever's pulled in.
True. So this does mean that Timer will be able to kind of pick and choose who they want and not be as stressed out about who will be there. Plus, who's going to be able to interrupt them out of it? Guan Yu only has a stun on their ultimate, and Slayer with the Sakate, triplet form, you need the purple mode in order to get that Mez off to interrupt the Atlas pull. So I feel like Benny Q could be somebody that we pull pretty consistently, and there's really nothing that the thing can do about it, except maybe hope that Benny Q's tanky enough to live through the damage that Human Nature have, which they don't have too much right now, at least until Avenging Blade comes online for Inferno. Then we get some shred.
Oh, this corridor is a sniper's alley. You do not want to be locked in here at night with a Hoi staring you down. Some mistakes gets Aegis off. Solaire takes the portal on out. That's going to abandon the rest of the tanky boys. Zavariz might just fall on their sword. Unless it's Kabrak on the front line. Look at this, Zavariz making a long winding trip. Human Nature say, where did he go, guys? He's already skedaddled right back to the mid lane. Nice job there by the Guan Yu. That's one stealthy sucker. But now, could be trouble for the Charon instead. Stunned out away from their Swift Voyage, but an amazing pull from Atlas saves them from Tectonic Shift. Somehow able to survive. Now can the Hoi Yi say the same? Cavalry Charge gets beadsed away. The Sunder is going to add on to the damage of the Doldrums. Benny Q finds the kill with the Trembles. That was a hard fought.
Dive Bomb already gone, forced to use that beads. I'll tell you what, the thing is, has a team comp that can absolutely make that chase happen. Bracket's very quick character, and if they connect even one ability on top of you, you are donezo. You know what help with that? Some healing. Zavri's has it in spades. In fact, they've also got this Heartward Charm online, ready to go. And the Heartward Charm that we have now is a little different from the Heartward Charm that we had before. So it gives you that minus 20% cooldown on your healing abilities. This helps with the spam, but also when you heal with abilities, you store that healing into the Heartward Charm, and then you activate Heartward Charm to heal your team again. So currently on cooldown, looks like Zav had to use it to survive that engagement, but the longer you're able to kind of hold off on popping that, the stronger the heal you got.
It's a bit of a lesson in financial literacy. Whoa, health bar literacy. Inferno's reading single-digit numbers. Zavariz TP's on it just to maybe block the path of Timer. Stunned out after the pull, and Slayer will shun them out and lock them out of the big game for about 15 seconds. Tower now being the focus. Benny-Q can take it for quite some time. Be trouble as well for Raspy. There's no way out this time, pal, even with the Phantom Shell. Slayer sends him on back to the underworld. Zavariz, though, in trouble, has the amulet of the mushroom variety to keep them safe and in higher spirits for a bit longer. That tower might just be toast.
Unfortunate. Like, just the damage that the thing is able to pour out here and the sustain that they have, it's very hard to slow this team down. Whereas I feel if Human Nature is able to get to late game, they'll be scaling pretty well. That is the drawback of having your ADC in your Joust roster. And Inferno might be the Joust GOAT, like we said before. That's where they started, running the Joust streets. But this is a character that's reliant on gold in order to get all their items online. They don't really have great base numbers, especially since we saw that pass to basic attack damage, where maybe they're not doing as much this go around. Axe is a little bit weaker. It's only 5 strength, so it takes longer to get everything online and going. So Inferno is really just banking for, all right, I gotta be level 20. I gotta have all my items online. I need Titan's Bane and Audi Bow, and then we can really start ripping away health bars, maybe a Chin's Blade, but that's so far away, D'Lo. And the thing is, just able to push down. How do you clear wave?
You're saying the thing is, I don't know. It's Bracken charging you down. The questions really start to occur in your mind. Stuns off the mark, though, from BennyQ. That is important. Let's see if we can just take down the tower through raw grit and determination alone. Boy, forced to bees the open the gates, but the damage is still pretty solid. So Varese has got the conviction in pocket to keep everyone on top with their green bars. 8 minutes in, it's a 3K just about gold lead there for the thing is. 3 kills ahead as well. And that tower is looking to be on its last legs.
Well, down goes the tower, in goes Guan with the ult.
Here comes some of the sticks in response. Right into the laser as well. Those protection shreds and the damage cannot be ignored. BennyQ's got to actually maybe make their way on out. They're vulnerable. Luckily, they do, of course, have the one to buff themselves on out. The conviction heal to also get rid of some of those bruises and scrapes with a kiss from your mommy Guan Yu. And the thing is, can just keep on whittling them down because Musi, like you said, human nature, they're waiting for things to kind of get going, but that is far and away in the future. And we've seen before with EU Joust in the Summer Bash that a lot of times these teams that have these base procs just do better.
Yeah, it really does feel like the thing is, doesn't have to acknowledge a lot of what human nature does. Like that last fight looked very good for human nature. You couldn't have asked for a better Atlas Hoyil combination. The circles were perfectly overlapped on top of each other. You had 2 people stuck in there, but like, guess what? It doesn't matter, right? Timer 1K and Raspy are building tank for the most part. Like, yeah, there's a divine for Raspy, but hold the phone. We are pulling a Lost Knight.
And we are getting Charon wrapping around the backside. Maybe looking for Slayer first, but it's a quick cavalry charge on through, forcing Timer 1K to back away from the open the gates, so they will have a Phantom Shell and a kinetic charge to get back to safety. Taking the portal right on back, let's just do it all over again.
This time, though, Timer will have ultimate while nobody from the Thing have their ults. Relics are still up, though, so it's a good fight for the Thing is.
BennyQ does so much damage, and as well as that Spell Eater comes crashing down on top of Raspy, drops him down to about half. BennyQ able to ward them off 3 by themselves. Emanated Charm can provide a bit of extra sustain. It's Guan Yu and an item. Whereas the real Guan Yu is still leashing this Lost Knight. Drop down to about a third, and BennyQ all by themselves might be enough to not only just ward away Timer 1K, but kill them as well. Slayer will grab the Lost Knight, not without a good attempt from Timer 1K to hit the laser steal.
BennyQ's got a Spirit Robe, that Amanitas Charm, but also a Glad Shield as well. So whenever BennyQ is going to get CC'd out, they're going to get extra prots. That'll make their Glad Shield even better. Yes, the Lost Knight.
It's 0.8%?
For the thing is. 0.8%, wow. They buffed that? That's crazy. Last time we were talking about it 7.5. A little bit of rounding over here in the Joust map, but that 15% penetration, I think, is going to be the real kick in the teeth here for human nature, because having percent pen online so early is kind of tough to fight into. And this is, all right, I'm going to pause for a sec. This is a lesson that everybody's going to have to learn. If you weren't if you didn't know it before, you're going to learn right now. Flat pen good early, percent pen good late. With flat pen getting added to the game, you're going to want to write that one down, right? Here in this mid-game, level 15, percent pen's like fine here, especially when you have so much damage to back it up.
Yeah, especially when you can apply it in AoE-like fashion with the Seismic Crush. BennyQ gets the double stun, gets some really good trembles off as well. Now here comes the laser. We're in the Titan room, but the Titan is at full health and not intent on falling. Phoenix is still up after all. The thing is, need to turn their attention to the structure. BennyQ turns tail and looks for Raspy instead. They do still have some of the sticks as well. And the Suns are ready from Inferno. They'll drop on down in response to some of the sticks as well. Phantom Shell as well as the slow immunity. We get BennyQ back out to safety. And all those conviction heals. This is a battle of attrition. The thing is, do not intend on falling over. The bird is plucked away. The thing is, stroll out scot-free.
I mean, Zav is nigh unkillable. BennyQ is nigh unkillable. I mean, look at all the cooldown that Zav has in their build, right? You have Genji's Guard, Breastplate, and that Heartwood Charm. You have Sands of Time. Mode of Chaos around the corner. That means we're going to be upgrading shells soon, so we could have like an Aegis to go with our build. This is exactly what Guan Yu does for this team. Literally, we just press Conviction, we heal the team, and your other abilities are here as like a cosmetic effect, right? I mean, yeah, obviously maybe you have a little bit of that shred, but oh, we upgraded into a Talisman of Purification, not an upgraded shell.
I'm
Just
cool
so
with
that we
that.
have a bit of an answer. Yeah, I'm fine with that too. Well, because look, 20 cooldown rate.
Ah!
Bumba, right?
Disgusting.
What is it? 2, 4, 60 cooldown rate, 70, I think, with that Chronos pendant, and then a flat 20%, which is different from the cooldown rate stat, because you have diminishing returns from the cooldown rate stat, but that 20% that you get from the Heartward Charm, I mean, that's just good eats.
Is forever. Talisman going to be used already there just to ward off some of the sticks. The laser comes through, and Raspy is still dead. Titan might be shortly followed up because the Amanita Charm just keep everyone back up in high spirits. Conviction heals as well. Shouldn't have stepped up, Timer 1K. You're about to be killed in 4. Let's see if we can finish them off before they wind around to the Titan. No, just turn their attentions to Inferno instead. The Thingers are happy to keep you alive as long as you so please, just so you can experience more death and dishonor as they continue to pump damage into this poor Atlas. The weight of the world's on their shoulders, as is the defense, and they'll crumple beneath it. A killing spree for Benny Q, and all Inferno can do is turn back home. The thing is, your Titan's dead. They'll take the first round.
Human nature passed a ban. Maybe we should have banned out that Guan Yu, right? Like, that was
Consider
just
it.
a lot. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are so many good picks to be had in Joust that it's always kind of hard to decide, like, what do you want in your 3-man squad? But if you're able to get a Guan Yu, a Kabrak, and a Hakate, like something that just 2 tanks that live forever in the front, a Hakate that's just artillery bombing in the back and throwing shields that explode with damage on my tanks, what are you supposed to do about that, right? I mean, we have 1 Divine Ruin for anti-heal, and that was about it. Opwash was banned away, so that opens up the Guan Yu pick to be able to do whatever they want to do. That's just kind of, yeah, that's the way that the news goes, I fear.
Opwash was banned away by Human Nature, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So, just
it's tough.
gotta make sure you're keeping in mind, folks, what you're taking away. Every single ban's so important, especially when there's only 3 players you're slotted up against and 3 players you have on your side, too. But nonetheless, Human Nature, they got a kill on the board at the very least. Wasn't a complete stomping. Though I do fear they, in a sense, almost fell against what their name says. It's not it is Human Nature that is what wins you the games. It's when you are picking these characters that require all these items that you really start to find yourself into a divot. That being said, there's still plenty more games to watch. I'm sure there'll be many more Benny Q plays to see as well. Guys, stick around. More Summer Bash and a Joust after this. Hello everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. Summer Bash and a Joust action here. First game, Musi called it, we all saw it. It's Benny Q and the rest of the boys kind of already starting to set a pace here for what we should be expecting. And speaking of, D'Lo here, Musi there, Tess, Morty Man, all up in the sky. Jithin's behind the curtain, and you watching at home. Brackets coming at you guys to see what other actions happen across the pond. Musi, who else is making a splash in the bash? Hard to see.
Let me, yeah, I'm trying to, I tried to
Zooming
zoom in
in.
on my computer, it actually wouldn't let me. Computer, enhance! Daduin's Basement, Cherry Slush, I could see that. I've got to
Okay.
get my reading glasses on here. Who's up there? TTV Snatty? Looks like Snatty Team made it through. I think that's what that says. Chingle, is that
Hydrogen bomb? They're
Chingleblorgan?
here?
Hydrogen
Hydrogen
bomb
bomb's
is here?
here.
I think. Oh.
Oh,
There,
that doesn't
all
help
right.
at all, Tess.
That's all right. I could kind of see some more big, some the Beasta.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on. We're back. Thanks, Tess. Well, we'll figure it out, I guess, in due time. But we do have P's and B's for our next match coming up in just a second. And once the bracket narrows down, things will be easier. Let's see who we got up on tap now. It's Cherry Slush and Daduin's Basement. I love that team name. I love these players, too. This is going to be a really good game.
So, these are the EU players from across the pond to Daduin's Basement, who had a really good showing the last time we saw them as well. But we do have Cherry Slush with Dishonored, Cherry, and Snicks Jr. A lot of tank players here, but Snicks is a pretty cracked jungler. I like them quite a bit. So who's going to play the mage, right? In this scenario, I feel like Cherry is known for playing, like, mage picks in solo lanes. So if we see something along the lines of like an E-set or a
Hades.
Hades, I wouldn't hate to see that at all. Yeah, Hades would be kind of ball. I feel like there are a lot of good. It's very warm in here, Dilo. Don't mind me. I feel like there are a lot of really solid picks for Joust that we actually just don't have a chance to see too frequently. That I kind of feel like Cherry would be the one to pull out. Like, Aspect E-set has to be decent. You can't tell me that's not decent in this moment. So, I feel like there's some sauce to be had there. Some sauce that the Doom's Basement would be fully aware of. But Opwash is going to be open, so I think that's going to be a pretty prio pick.
Double ban on the cab Bracken means he's gone forever. Achilles picked up instead by Cherry Slush. One of those tanks that is very difficult to take down, just especially in the Joust format. Less people to center their attentions on them. And that's also something you got to keep in mind, folks. That's why tanks are already so powerful in this meta. And when there's less people to focus fire on them, it's very difficult to take them out.
Poseidon is not someone I would have expected initially, but I don't hate it. Because Kraken's on a fairly short cooldown, Whirlpool's pretty big, a cripple is good into Achilles, but also I feel like Poseidon's one of those characters that should be able to chip away at an Achilles health bar. That Loki is going Aspect, by the way.
Yes.
Almost assuredly, a tank Loki Aspect is unkillable. You go Yogi's Necklace, you go some tank items like a Prophetic Cloak, and you just can't die. Like, I don't know, there's just so much to be had here. Maybe a Cuckoo can help tip the balance there, though.
Ever since I got my Yogi's Necklace, no Kukulkan's been able to kill me. I'm a bit concerned in the sense that Poseidon I don't think it needed to be picked first. I think it's kind of like showing your hand a bit early, but maybe since Cherry Slush are also with this Kukulkan opting for something of a similar ilk, maybe actually Dodoon's Basement had a reason to prio it instead. Uller as well being picked up here. Cherry Slush do have some pretty good CC routes there. We've always talked about the training wheels. You're the one who kind of pioneered with that term. The Achilles Shield Bash into an easy Uller axe leads to big damage.
It leads to a Spirit of the Nine Winds from the Kukulkan as well, or even a Zephyr Spit. Like, I feel like there's a lot of setup from Cherry Slush, and there's even more follow-through. Like, Achilles can be the setup and the execute in a literal sense of the word. Cuckoo's got giant areas where they can deny that make it easier to set up for this Uller to be able to hit their axe, because it just simply denies movement, otherwise you get chipped by a bunch of damage. So, Dodoon's Basement, with their last pick, are going to opt for some more setup of their own. I like Hunbots here. In fact, I would like to see an Aspect Tank Hunbots to go with our Aspect Tank Loki and just rely on Poseidon to be the big damage dealer, right? Because Achilles will have to build magical defense in their build, while maybe kind of relying on their physical health shield to deal with the damage from Loki and Hunbots if they are going tank. But I really do feel that could be ideal, because then Loki and Hunbots can kind of live through a lot of the shenanigans that Kukulkan and Uller are going to throw their way, while also being very threatening with the amount of CC and damage that they're able to get across the board, regardless of whether or not they're going to have reduced scaling on their abilities, because they're going to be going these aspects and they're going to be building more health rather than damage.
Game ready for us right now, so Cherry Slush at Dodoon's Basement. We're going to take the stairway on down to the cellar, see what's going on here. I'm going to raise your suggestion and make it a mandate.
Yes.
I do need to see that Hunbots aspect, and I'm very glad to, because without that, Musey, they had no hard CC for Dodoon's Basement, so clearly recognizing that we need some good setup here for the Poseidon Kraken, and now we've gotten spades.
And it's setup that isn't as reliant on long cooldowns like something well, a Kraken, I guess. Like, you know? So, or the Fear No Evil, excuse me. And for aspect of disruption, you know, the big change here for me is that Overhead Smash stuns gods. Now, yes, it does have reduced damage, and yes, the Sacred Monkey has reduced scaling, and we don't get bonus damage with our strength buff, but that's like totally chill, because Sap 7 on Twitch is our damage here. We just have loads of setup here to get them on the board, and I like that quite a bit. I also like Sap 7 going for the blue buff invade.
Quick slipstream there from Cherio to ensure safety, but look who's lurking in the back at Sap 7. They decided to rejoin the rest of the squad instead. So red buff firmly around the waist of SnixJ, but like you said, the blue buff invade could result in some more fruits being gained, like the beads of the Achilles of the slipstream there from Cherio. Now the danger's on the Uller. SnixJ should be able to get out. Sacred Monkey not going to be opted for the teleport. It is worth noting as well, given all that setup from Dodoon's Basement, 3 pairs of beads for Cherry Slush.
They're gonna need those beads. Cherio's around the corner here. Not level 5, but that's
What
a
a great
really
tornado.
solid tornado. But where's the
Forces
follow-up?
off the Aegis. Well, we're going to find it right here. Sap 7 could be in trouble. Now locked inside the blue buff pits. Next Jay's got it back on off, but Cherio takes it from here. Finds the first kill. Deduin combines with the staff slam to take down Cherio in like fashion. Snake Jay. There's the possibility of unleashing a hail of arrows from long downtown. Dishonored, though, has the combat dodge and has the spear. Deduin will be at the end of it. Adapting answers back with a kill on Snixjay, though. And here comes the Fear No Evil. Level 5 difference for both sides. Dishonored uses that fatal strike to get the hell on out of here.
Man, Dishonored is going to be so tanky, especially because they started with that Warrior's Axe in their starter item slot, and with a Yogi's Necklace and a Mana Tome. Or, well, the Olmec Blue and a Mana Tome might have showed my hand a little bit early there, but that is going to be the Yogi's Necklace on the way for Dishonored. Now, Achilles is one of the few warriors that I actually like building the axe on right now, just because the stats from axe functions really well with Achilles. Oh, beats force away from Uller. That Kraken came out a little early there. But it's the true damage that's going to be very important, especially playing into these tanks. You can't really mitigate that at all. So it's an extra chip of damage that Dishonored can use to hopefully get through in there with their execute, which is going to be so very needed playing into Deduin and Adapting, who have these tankier builds. Which actually, as I say that, Dilo, I look at Adapting's build and I see a lot of damage. I see Skegalox and another axe and a ring. So it actually might be a Jotun's Wrath to start things off, or potentially a Hydra's. I'm leaning towards Jotun's Wrath because I'm pretty sure Hydra's needs the mana items, like Infused Axe, before we're actually able to get that online. Yeah.
I believe you're correct on that as well. But we'll see in short time. Adapting. Maybe leaning towards something a bit more damage-oriented. Snixjay tries to find the axe, off the mark with it. Only one pair of beads for Deduin's basement. That's going to be on Adapting, so this Poseidon's opting for Aegis instead. What do you think's the logic behind that?
Well, Aegis is, in my mind, a little bit better than beads. They achieve the same thing in certain scenarios, where when you bead something, when you beads a CC, you're trying to avoid damage. What does Aegis do? It helps you avoid damage. So it functionally does the same thing for me in my mind. If you're a tank, though, maybe instead of Aegis, you're looking at Shell just so that you can act while avoiding damage. So that's why Sap 7's got it. Plus, we can also just build a Talisman.
Plus, we can also CC chain Snixjay to Kingdom Come. They don't have the beads after all, but they still have their life. That feels pretty gosh darn good. The Assassinate into Fear No Evil into Staff Slam combo is fearsome, but somehow the Glorious One able to survive for now.
Speaking of surviving...
Uh-oh. This. Monkey in, monkey out.
Yeah. It's scary for a second, but not for very long. Hold on.
Never mind. Scary again. Snixjay can't
Scary
swim.
again.
That Survivor ain't surviving for longer. Sap 7 takes them out thanks to the Whirlpool tick, but now Fatal Strike range has been acquired. Cherio's dead. Dishonored is as well, right before they can even enter the Fatal Stance. An amazing deicide 4 minutes in from the basement.
And there's another reason why we want the Aegis, right? I mean, Sap, this Poseidon is going to be effectively melee range, right? Their abilities are not able to be thrown out too far, so that means you're going to be in range of Dishonored's execute. You're going to be having people jump on top of you, as the Lost Knight was confirmed by Deduin's basement just now. So Aegis is just a really strong pick here. But also that Breastplate of Valor, right? Just a little bit of extra tankiness to go with Sap 7, but also cooldown as well, so that we can, keep our Whirlpools going out there, we keep the Riptide rolling, making sure that we have a lot of movement speed. So now we just need something like a Totem of Death, the Soul Reaver, maybe, some proc items to go with this so we can still get some damage through. But knowing Sap 7 and knowing that they don't really opt for that build too much, they were playing that Giannis build in the EU Conquest that one-shot somebody, I'm really curious to see what they have cooked up for this Poseidon build.
Well, we know what they're cooking up for the tower. Death and Destruction. Maybe instead for Snixjay first, who's been the first target several times now at this point. Bit of trouble here for the Hoon bots. They are able to retreat thanks to the Fear No Evil, forcing the beads off to Dishonored. A bit of an itchy trigger finger there on that relic, but we're going for the second dive. Doing. This time trying to weaken the Achilles a little bit. Not working though, keep in mind. You only need a % amount of health, not bringing it down to 0 if you're this Achilles. A great Kraken! Absolutely obliterates Snixjay once again. Hooler on a poster.
Man, Deduin was within execute range for the Achilles execute there. Ooh, damage is not quite enough. But that Lost Night buff giving you 8% health and mana healing there. Like, just barely pushes Deduin over the ledge, and they pop that shell as well to protect that last bit of health bar, just to make sure that we don't get too crazy. 0.8%. I got the number swapped. Thank you, Mort. But that healing is incredibly relevant. And it's pretty quick. Like 0.8% every second is going to add up really fast. So it came in just in the nick of time there for Deduin.
Adapting notably, looking at their build, has got this Jotuns, now has the Hydras. They're going full in on the damage. And that's going to result in Snixjay's life being absolute hell. Bottom of the player damage charts, not because they're playing poorly, just because they're not able to play. Spending too much time in the gosh darn fountain.
Yeah, it's tough there. And we saw the Jotuns pick up for adapting too. There's the Hydras to go with it, so we have a lot of cooldown on this one, bots. There's a lot of CC that comes out incredibly frequently. Sap 7's got the Totem of Death. Meanwhile, on the other side of the board, right, Cherry Slush items are looking good. Yogi's Necklace, Glad Shield for Achilles. We've got some damage here, but unfortunately, Dedu and Spaceman are just shrugging it off.
Wow, great Spare the Nine wins, though, to answer back on top of Sap 7. A leap over the wall. Snixjay still can't escape. Deduin gonna follow them to the ends of the earth. Cherio's in trouble, but inside the tornado, they do have the advantage. A slipstream to get some distance. Now they leave the rest to Achilles, who can potentially get Deduin inside Fatal Strike range. In fact, they saw it for a moment. I see it again. It's all in their eyes, but adapting has got to make sure to block with their body to eat the bullet if need be. So both members of Deduin's basement that remain able to escape.
Running interception there, it's good positioning from adapting to make sure that Dishonored can't get the execute off. But we see, even though Sap 7 dies, Deduin's basement's team composition is still incredibly lethal. Loki is... Hello, Kraken?
The Whirlpool is going to keep Cherio in place, but the Tidal Surge is off the mark, so Dishonored's still in a pretty good amount of health. But it was really well done there by Sap 7 to not lose their focus, not lose their nerve. Even with Dishonored actively haranguing and harassing them right in front of their vision, they still made sure to put the Kraken on the back line to force them away.
But like I was saying before, Loki with the aspect, yes, you are building tanky, but you're still able to get a bunch of damage through. But think about what Loki is able to do as a jungler, right? Loki's really good at chasing people down, at harassing backliners. The backliners that are good in the game right now, you know, like Uller and... Well, I was thinking Agni Disco, but they're not in this game. The point is, they can be chased very effectively by a Loki. Cherio is feeling that right now.
Whoa, great axe there in response from Snixjay. Does set up adapting. Shortly after, Cherio will fall. But now it's just on the front lines. A good axe there to follow up. Deduin's in trouble. In fact, set up for the Fatal Strike perfectly. Sap 7 knows that they have to put down their life, or maybe they can escape. The Fatal Strike goes right through the Kraken CC. Will allow Dishonored to catch up, but the Tidal Surge pushes them back once more. Snixjay does not want this fight. Sap 7 actually might. Be careful, Poseidon. You don't have any backup any longer.
They do have the Aegis up, though, so they feel pretty confident going into that fight, but both sides will agree that maybe we just don't want it at all. So we'll take a couple of steps back. You'll notice Cherry Slush are starting to turn these fights around, and that's because Cherry O is getting some stacks on their Book of Thoth, but that Totem of Death is going to be the real difference maker. Now we have some Prot Shred. So the Loki's feels a little bit more killable. The Hunbots, absolutely more killable, right? They don't have any protections. And Snixjay should have a Titan's Bane around the corner. So the tanky frontline of Deduin's basement, even the tanky mage, right? Sap 7 with this Breastplate of Valor, you'll see Cherio mimic that as well, will be answered to some degree. So Cherry Slush might be able to fulfill a win con here of just getting their Cuckoo nice and plump and big spaghetti noodle, so that we can get a bunch of damage across the board. If you're Deduin's basement, though, you can absolutely keep the pressure on here. I mean, you got the tower right away. That gives you a lot of control over the map. So playing for that Lost Night and playing to maybe bait Cherry Slush into a fight around that area would be ideal for them, right? They are great ambush predators.
It was a clean macro play there from Deduin's basement, luring Cherry Slush over to the Lost Night pit, but then taking the TP over to ensure priority over the red buff. Now 10 minutes. It's 5-8 in favor of the basement. About a 1,000 gold lead their way. It really is anyone's game. With Snixjay having those beads down for another 30 seconds, the basement wants to get a fight started before then.
Like I said, ambush predators, Deduin's basement. You'll notice that they're all kind of sticking around each other, but keep an eye out for Doin's engage and Adapting's engage, right? The Loki ult on top of Cherio or even on top of Snicks would be an ideal way to start a fight here for Doin's basement, just to kind of keep them in check. But beads online for everybody from Cherry Slush means that it's going to take a little bit of poking and prodding before we can really fully commit, just because we can beads a Loki ult, we can beads the Fear No Evil from Adapting. So that is kind of scary to engage, knowing that Cherry Slush can just turn around on top of you. So now, maybe instead of Ambush Predator, we're kind of poking and prodding and still keeping our farm on, right? That mode of chaos there for Doduin means we could upgrade our shell or find an upgraded Sunder. You know, every time I say, wow, this would be a great spot to upgrade shell, we're just kind of building something else, but I don't hate it, right? Sundering Echo is a lot of damage, as well as really solid stats, because 7.5% stats from items is just a good pickup.
The burn. The turn. Dishonored might be
Loki's
the real
behind
target instead. But they're trying to take down Sab 7. All up this Loki to try to stall the approach of the back line. Doing a solid job of it so far. In fact, they're turning tail now. Better Than 9 Wins dodged, in fact, by all members of Doduin's basement. But the health bar is still not looking the greatest. Stun on top of Achilles. They have one of their own. Forcing Monkey Somersault back to the tower. Doduin's basement. A failed attempt to bait with a Lost Knight.
You had Doduin that was behind Cherio, but you'll notice Cherio still has beads, Doduin still has ultimate, so while we were trying to pincer off this Cuckoo, it just didn't happen for Doduin's basement. I attribute a lot of that over to Snixjay being able to be that partner in crime. There's the Assassinate.
Cherio steps up maybe a bit too far for their own good. Here's the Kraken as well. Zap 7 takes down Cherio. Phantom Shell, though, not going to be able to save Doduin for much longer. The body block's nearly there, but Dishonored's able to find the kill through all the madness nonetheless. A 1-for-1, or 1-for-2 rather. Wait a second. Dishonored, what are you doing all by yourself? Come here, baby. Stick around a little bit. I got something to tell you, and it's going to come in the form of a bunch of staff slams.
There's the Fear No Evil. Here's the Staff Slam.
Ow.
Dishonored's going to buy some time, but it is just a matter of time before they go down, right? Surely. Pop your 2
Guys.
for a heal. You have a stun. QTP.
Oh?
You know, one day.
Ah.
You know, for a hair of a moment, I was kind of like, we might be able to get Poseidon on the way out here. That would not be bad. But didn't quite come to pass there. But what Dishonored does in that moment is completely waste Doduin's basement's time. I mean, how long? It took 3 years to kill that Achilles. So in all that time, Doduin's basement was not able to find any big objective on the map, except, you know, maybe take first crack at this Lost Knight. But Dishonored's up in 10 seconds. I really feel like Snixjay and Cherio can contest this. We have a Spirit of the 9 Winds. Oh, or it's just dead. Oh, my fault. Right. Well.
2 damage dealers.
What do I know? 2 damage dealers. Shoutouts. Ratatouille's online for Sap 7. Pair that with that Lost Knight buff. The Phoenix will be disabled. We have a lot more healing, which is a great answer into Dishonored's Execute. So now when Doduin goes in to find some damage on top of Cherio, they get turned on. They'll have a little bit more playtime. And with the Pridwin upgrade there too, looks like those extra shields will be very, very handy. And just a little bit more cooldown. I'm telling you right now, like this Loki aspect tank build is just disgusting. And we never really had a chance to see it too often because it was bugged for like the longest time, where Loki aspect, when they're in their illusion, they couldn't be displaced like at all. But now that we're allowed to play it, like it is just very, very good.
Sapper on this left side baits out the axe. You know they're looking for Snixjay again, and you know that Snixjay knows that they know that you know. Dishonored, that poked out. Axe ignored. Doduin's going on in. Snixjay has to leap on out. Cherio's on the left side, drops down Spirit of the 9 Winds. Sap 7's actually in trouble for it, but the Assassinate is met with a Beads in response. Can it at least get Sap 7 on the way out? No! Aegis better than Beads, better than everything, baby. 2 kills already, and now the Uller is the sole survivor. Not for much more time, unless if we get out of the Whirlpool. They do have the Aegis, they got the Beads too. Snixjay's safe, but Titan and Phoenix might be different stories. Good axe, though. At close distance, that arrow's going to hit like a truck, but Snixjay's still got to preserve their own life. As the Titan now begins to get whittled down, can they pull off the defense of the ages? Minions get cleared out. There's no Kraken here for Sap 7. They go on in, axes in hand. It's not going to be enough. Cherry gets turned to slush. Doduin's basement takes him out.
Poseidon looked so juicy, but was just a little too unkillable. Breastplate of Valor, a shell in Aegis, suddenly Sap 7 is big chilling. Plus, this Loki with the aspect constantly putting Cherio under a microscope. This Cuckoo wasn't able to position it anywhere that felt ideal for them to be able to follow through on anything that Dishonored was doing. So these pieces coming together really put Deduin's Basement in such a strong position. And that the aspect there for the Hunbots was able to set up so much and force away beads with something more than just a fear no evil, right? And I really like that call out from you so early in the game, Dilo. Like, I really want to see this, because you're 100% right. Like, because without that aspect, Deduin's Basement is only really threatening with long cooldown ultimate abilities that you will always have beads up for.
I think Deduin's Basement is just a team that very much understands what they need to do to counter the enemy team. And I want to throw a call out to something that you called out at the very beginning, but we didn't see, and for good reason, because we didn't have the Achilles on the board. But you talked about this Deduin on this Loki aspect and how typically you see Yogi's necklace, but they didn't build it. And there's a reason for that. It's because they're up against this Achilles. You could tell that Deduin's Basement recognizes what their opponents bring to the table and how to counter it out. So they know what is effective, like you've mentioned, but they also know when you sometimes need to take a walk from the typically trodden down path. That being said, credit to Cherry Slush. They still made it a pretty tight game.
Oh, yeah. I really do feel like if Cherio was able to get a little bit more online, like we never had the Ob Shard to go with our Totem of Death, like the Soul Reaver was there, so the damage potential was there. It just didn't happen in time. And
what a great Aegis.
It was beautiful Aegis. The Aegis and then the shell on top of it just to protect Sap 7's health bar out of that Aegis was what I really liked there too. In my mind, Dilo, Joust comes down to like two different scenarios for how these games go. Your game is either over in like 10 to 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And there really doesn't feel like too much of an in-between, because you're either just staring at your lane opponent chilling, or you have drafted some early pressure that is able to get online with just a couple of items, and you run it down as hard as you can. Because the late game teams do not function as well into these early pressure teams, because they just try to sit back, they farm, but then they just get jumped on and they collapse a little bit. And with the legs kicked out from underneath the table, you end up eating dinner off the floor.
I like what we talked about at the very beginning. We said, man, the tanky options can oftentimes be one of the very set ways to play Joust, but it's nice that there's still other ways to freshen up the spice pool. We'll have to see if we get some new flavors in the next game as we hop to a little quick break, so guys, stick around. Don't you dare worry. More Smite Prime after this. Summer Bash, Summer Bash, Summer Bash. Welcome back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. The dance moves too. D-Lo here behind the mic. I got Musy Man right by my side. Bring him on. There it is. Yo! Oh! Oh! Oh!
Can we get serious here, D-Lo? It's time for Summer Bash.
This is Summer Bash. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. My bad. Tess, Morning Man, the almighty eyes in the sky. Jithin's behind the listen, I got it. Ready? Watch this. Summer Bash and a Joust. Bracket coming out of soon here to see what the frick is going on in this hizzy.
Okay. You know, the bracket has gotten smaller and the words have just not gotten bigger.
Yeah, can we get a font size change maybe?
No. This is good. I can read this.
Wait, no,
The Avengers versus Deduin's Basement. Hydro John Bomb. It's pretty good.
Oh,
versus
wait.
Team Dubu.
Okay.
The thing is versus is that Rent Drive for Glove? Shoutouts. And then
probably
Party Up versus
that's Pinky Up.
Pinky Up. Oh.
Versus Oh. You want to expand that one for me real quick?
Oh.
No, it's just Pinky Up. They're like isolated. They're in their own like purgatory.
Pinky Up wins. Wow.
So we can go home.
Wow. Good job, Pinky Up. That was crazy. They eliminated them in the. There it is. Oh, Pinky Up did win. Oh. Versus Gumbo Goons. So.
Okay.
Rent Drive for Globe. The thing is, Team Dubu, Hydro John Bomb, Daduin's Basement, and the Avengers. The Avengers? Is that, no, I know that team. That's an AGL team. I gotta go check the check-ins there, if that's who I think it is. Wait, that's kind of heat. So, we got a very competitive bracket here for quarterfinals. I'm not gonna lie to you, Dilo. This actually looks pretty good. Like, it got squished in a very good way.
Nice. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think the teams we have here, we have definitely some solid contenders that anyone could really win that $525 coming at us here. So,
Big ones, yeah.
to find out what ends up being the end result, it could be anything. Oh, oh. He's coming out soon.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, while we wait on these P's and B's, I'm gonna lean on my wall here. I hope you're okay with that little casual here. I feel like when it comes to picks for these Joust games, I feel like there's a lot available. And I almost wonder, for Joust, instead of picking Metaslop, you know, like, oh, what's the Mickey character we want on our team today? What's the OP broken Metaslop pick today? It really does feel like Joust teams have more identity, you know? There's more cohesion because there's less room to work with. Right? We'll get a chance for that when we move on to pick some bands here. But where you really are just picking your core identity for your team, and you can really discover what that is just based off the first, you know, couple picks or so here. So it really does come down to, how do you play the game? How do you play Joust? How does that work out? Now, overall, I really do feel like it comes into two main umbrellas, right? Ella, A, where you have early game pressure compositions that are really trying to wrap things up sooner rather than later, and then you have late game scaling compositions that are happy to just kind of like hang out, farm with each other. You can turtle really well until eventually your late game, you know, mega tank or hyper carry is able to simply push you across the finish line slowly but surely. The one drawback for those teams though is that it's just kind of hard to get those rolling. You know, I talk about it a lot. Joust is, you know, there's not as much farm to go around on the map. There's not as much gold to go around on the map. So you have to share everything. So it just takes longer to get to that point. Yeah, Afro's going to be open available here. That's a good shout, Dilo. I like that. But what else? You know, I see the Opwatches off the board too. Guan Yu. There it is. Well done, Dilo. Pattern recognizing brain. Very nice. Very good.
I've seen a lot of YouTube shorts of Mike from Suits with his photographic memory, you know?
I like that show.
Yeah.
Have you been to Harvard, Dilo?
I don't. I've not, I fear to say. I'm sorry, Lewis. Cerberus is the instant response. They can honestly add an Afro on top of that, and it could potentially be good. But I wonder if that may be too much investment in the heal side of the train and not too much in the damage. But it's pretty potent. You're stealing heals from the Guan Yu. You're adding some of your own. Osiris! We hate healing. We hate healing on Team Dubu. I hate healing. I'm going to pour a barrel of oil on the healers and light them on fire.
Yeah, that is kind of what we're looking at here. Well, it's interesting. I like the Osiris that maybe a lot of people would go, oh, maybe this could be an Odin game. Here's the thing. Hydrogen Bomb still have a lot of picks to go through that could get out of the cage that mean that we don't have to be expending shells as frequently. But with what this Osiris does is it really just means like, hey, if I hit you with that Lord of the Afterlife, you know, you're a little cooked, and we're going to be able to get that anti-heal across the board regardless. Now we just need some big damage follow-up from Team Dubu, and I think we're chilling.
Morgan Le Fay for Hydrogen Bomb. Is that Aspect? It's not Aspect item. No, I think it is Aspect. What? But Aspect saw some nerfs recently.
It could be either. Honestly, I wouldn't hate to see either. Aspect Morgan Le Fay, still pretty good, still very brawly. And also kind of keeps up the pace with Hydro John Bomb's comp of like being in your face. But for the similar reasons why the Akate worked so well in one of the previous games we saw, I wouldn't hate to see Morgan Le Fay be that not aspect, just because you're able to build Rock Slop, throw a bunch of abilities at range. She's very hard to kill. She has a lot of get off me tools. So like I can see a case argument for both, but I think non-aspect might be the play here, just so we can have a lot of damage that we need, right? Just so we can just abuse the damage from a base Morgan Le Fay.
I also think it's good because you need range. Guan Yu, Sobek, very full frontal, very committal. Their range of damage is all up in your face, and we're going to get all up in the lanes as we hop into the game here. Hydrogen Bomb, Team Dubu. On Her was the last pick. We've seen this dynamic duo several times between the On Her and the Kerberos. We'll see if it fares better on the Joust map.
Yash, Cody, Nico la la la. Tra la la la. Drake. La 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 la. La 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 la. Nico la 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 la. So it's worth noting this Team Dubu team, which, you know, I don't recognize any of the names here, to get to this point, did beat the Snatty team. So we might have a group of Joust demons on our hand here that are going to take the Hydro John Bomb team to task. And I like the pickup here from Nico La 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 La. The selflessness is kind of a sleeper pick, just because there's a lot of CC that is problematic from Hydro John Bomb. I think about the Pluck, and I think about the Fear or Anaka, or even the Guan Yu Stun, where the selflessness, being able to offer that health shield, can kind of help keep somebody alive. Like a Nico La La La.
Soul Expulsion gets them back to safety. Sunprod will have to eat the stun if the Osiris commits to the bit, but they decide to back off too. Worth noting, Talao Assault, Displacement Immunity. That means that Cerberus is going to be a bit out of luck when it comes to plucking him up with the Stygian Torment.
We also have a Death Temper for Cody. So more sustain in this lane here for the On Her. It's not as much as a Guan Yu, right? Hydro John Bomb will always have a little bit more sustain than Team Dubu. They're very much relying on their anti-heal, but I would not only would I have your Osiris, have your Kerberos, but something along the lines of like a Divine Ruin somewhere, maybe not Divine Ruin, a Brawlers or a Stygian Anchor would be a really solid pickup, just so we can really just make this Guan Yu pick nigh useless. The more we can limit the effectiveness of it, the harder it becomes to play the game if you're Hydro John Bomb.
I just am a bit worried about the burst potential of Hydro John Bomb as well. Morgan Le Fay doesn't really destroy you with one ability. Her consuming power, in fact, is several slashes of the sword. So off the back of that pluck, what locks you down, really? Not all that much, if you ask me. So we'll have to see how they operate in that format. Sunprod, of course, normally plays jungle for Smite Prime in general. So I'm curious how they do on this Sobek pick from the get-go.
You're very correct. Like, there's no real burst damage. It's all chip damage. It's all, you know, abusing our Soul Reaver here from Kaidan. So if Team Dubu is looking at maybe something like some extra shells or even just a little bit of extra sustain on their own side to help counteract that, Hydro John Bomb is going to have a tougher time. So I'm looking at these two teams, Dilo, and I'm seeing maybe a couple of later game teams as they, you know, kind of feel each other out. Obviously, Hydro John Bomb, they find an early Sobek pluck, they play off of it, it's good. But if Nico La 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 is the one that gets plucked, like, we could immediately turn that around into a Stygian Torment, pick a couple of people up, because like you said before, like, John Rowing and Sunprod don't have beads, so they'll have to ult that ultimate, and then Team Dubu just back up. It really does feel like both these teams don't have great engages on top of each other. They have good answers. So, this could be something, though.
Ooh, Sunprod hits a Soul Expulsion to make sure. What a great impale to force Sobek into tower. The last shot is eaten up by that Phantom Shell. Does not mean, though, you can take all the rest of the damage to follow. Yash over the wall, and unfortunately Sunprod into the fountain. First blood of Team Dubu.
Sunprod did not really respect the spit there from Kerberos. Because in order to ult for ult with this Stygian Torment, you can't be stunned beforehand, right? So the setup there was good, following it immediately up with the ultimate, but that impale, like you called out, Dilo, very good from Cody. I was a big fan of that. That basically puts Sunprod into hell, where they can't play the game at all. They get cooked. And you saw Hydro John Bomb, they just kind of left them to die too. They're like, yeah, that's cooked. We're not really interested in that too much. And just off of that first kill, now Team Dubu establishes some presence here. And they go, hey, you can't really get too crazy with us. You have to kind of respect us for a bit. We're going to drag this out to the late game, whether you like it or not. Some items that'll help them get there too. An early Draconic Scales from Nico La La La. Very good item, but reliant on other items to really be good.
Block. Another impale. This time pushes some
like,
back into the team.
Yeah. I feel like we saw that exact interaction like 2 minutes ago.
Yep. At least this time Sunprod does live to tell the tale.
Yeah. Flux Deco La La La. Deco La 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 jumps back. There's an on her pillar. Sunbrock can't chase. We go back to neutral.
Bit of deja vu here for our friend the Croc. I gotta say, I think Team Dubu got a really solid handle on what this meta requires, because we saw this before with the ADC on Inferno. However, the difference between a Hoi and an On-Her, that passive Enfeeble allows an On-Her to get active and dangerous far more early.
Yeah, being able to shred away those prots is very strong. You've got the Learning Bow there as well, so we have good damage to follow up off an Impale, not just our autos. Oh, it's a Morgan Le Fay clone. I was like, somebody health bar is getting pieced away here.
Nice little double Stygian Torment, but only one gets plucked up. So Sobek's in the Lurking Waters. Takes a bit of a bite out of the On-Her, but I don't know if you even want to step up that close, buddy. Best be careful. Commander Cody on the front lines. A blue buff invade may be on the horizon from a Hydrogen Bomb. Don't want to fully commit to the bit, though, so just a bit of extra poke before turning back to the purple.
Hydrogen Bomb are able to get that neutral buff, though, which is solid for them, because when you're down that kill, you have to try to equalize the gold in any way you can. It is a death by 1,000 cuts for these Joust games, where you take a small stumble, and that can start adding up over time as you end up losing more and more and more. So not being afraid, it really is the answer to that. Staying aggressive, keeping your presence known, so that Team Dubu can't act on the incredible, minute lead that they've developed here. Hydrogen Bomb have Yogi's Necklace for their Sun Prod Sobek, and John Rowing's got that early talisman. Oh, what a pillar!
What a pillar!
That was awesome.
That was so well placed, Jared. Can be used as a safety net in response to a Sobek. I think you're right, Musi. I think we have some demons here on Team Dubu that maybe just are making their way up from the woodworks of the Joust map. Hydrogen Bomb, they might be the kings of conquest, but they're stepping into a different kingdom.
I'm still thinking about that pillar. That diffused the entire fight. The entire fight that could have started was just turned off by the pillar. Team Dubu just say no. Like, we're just gonna sit here and farm. You can't sit with us. That's crazy. Upgraded shell for Sun Prod, so they'll have beads. That's a good answer. Into the Kerberos there. The Stingy and Torment will get turned off, but also 35% damage mitigation in that Field of Rebuke. So not only does Shell give you that extra little health bar, there's a circle that it places on the ground that if you stand in that circle, you have crazy damage mitigations. So you really want to fight in that circle once that pops, so that you can keep yourself up and alive. Now, if you're Team Dubu, though, I'm looking over at their builds. I see the Prophetic Cloak for Yash. That Golden Blade early is I'm thinking about it, because it's it's good for Osiris, but how often are we actually brawling? How many times can we actually make use of this early damage item? Not too much, but still maybe just there to be threatening and scale with us later to the game. Being able to deal damage based off of our prots is very strong. We just gotta make sure that we get this Prophetic Cloak stacked up. It's easier to do nowadays because it's only 15 stacks, but still it takes a second.
Uh-oh. Sunprod's in no man's land, finds the pluck, but beads are the instant response. Dragonflight does get a bit more space for Sunprod. They are still looking to maybe go in, but that Stygian Torment
good stun!
Still decent damage there. The Paralyzing Spit will stun them out, but not too much follow-up. Good pluck on top of Cerberus, separate from the rest of the team. Soul Expulsion will try to help them regain positioning. Cavalry Charge incoming. The stun will land, but where's the On-Her when you really need him? As Fury comes through, tries to land on top of John Rowing. Very, very low. Now plucked once more back into the rest of the backline of Bomb. Able to dodge, though, the rest of the incoming damage off the Sigil Summon, and that's going to ensure that the Cerberus somehow barely able to survive.
Wow. You know what? Draconic Scales early with the Self-Assist, not bad at all. But also the Sphere of Negation is really good. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Constantly ticking with these magical shields, and Sunprod and Kaidon are magical. John Rowing's physical. But what damage is a Guan Yu doing to you when they're going aspect and they're building all tank? None. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So that is just really solid. This Kerberos just cannot die. And now, could Dubu either place a trap here? They're positioning for that Lost Night, but I still feel like it's in their best interest just to kind of chill and farm, right? Because our On-Her is a gold scaling character. We need to get them full of items. Learning and Bow and Tearfing is good. I like the Tearfing pickup. I think that item is a little bit slept on. On-hit effect, plus basic attack damage, attack speed, not too bad at all. And strength, good for hitting harder pins. So I like this for Team Dubu. They're playing this out really well. And you have to remember who they're playing against, like Sunprod, Kaidan, John Rowing. These are known names in the scene. I really appreciate the fact that Team Dubu is just unafraid. Nico Lalala especially. I have really been watching this Kerberos play. Mode of Chaos? Oh my god, we're going to upgrade our shell too. I hope. That's what I want. Because then you're super
Sunder
tanky.
incoming.
Sunder incoming. Ah! But then, like with your shell, upgraded shell of Rebuke, like then your Draconic skills gets even better because you have more prods, you have that mitigation fields, you just can't die, and Hydrogen Bomb can't heal because there's a Kerberos and an Osiris standing next to you. This is a really good draft!
10 seconds left for the beads of Cody, man. I wish that we had started something a bit sooner. Maybe now you're looking for it, but it's too late. Lion's back in the den.
Yeah.
And Sunprod has to lurk on back to the rest of the team. They had an opportunity. Like you said, Team Dubu needs to scale. Hydrogen Bomb can't let them, especially when they had all their relics and Team Dubu had only 1/3 of them. But now, back to an even square fight. Nicolalala on the front lines. They get pulled back in, and Sunprod once again eats a pillar for their troubles. They're the one who initiates, but now they're the ones who have to flee because they took more poke.
And look at what Cody built. That Chin's Blade there means that all the health that Hydrogen Bomb has been building, be it Heartward Charm or Yogi's Blade, is going to be, ooh, okay, they're fine. But a little stingy tournament action there. Display Tsunami and go on Utala Assault, shoutouts. But that Chin's Blade is going to get a ton of value. Like, you're able to just shred away these health bars. And Kaidan has their Soul Reaver online, but this Morgan Le Fay is just very quiet this game.
Ever since I got my Yogi's necklace, I've been allergic to cats. What a great Lord of the Afterlife. Finds 2. No healing incoming for you, buddy. Sorry. Conviction will not save you now. Kaidan sent down to the Afterlife, courtesy of Cody. Good tail whip does separate the fight a bit. A nice disperse to try to gain some distance, and Team Tubero happy with that. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and we've already delivered the first 2.
Man, it really feels like Team Dubu could take the fight here a little bit longer if they wanted to, especially Sunprod plucking
I don't know
in.
about that. This could be trouble. Nice disperse, but
Oh,
right
execute.
to the lurking waters. Easy, so execute. There for Sunprod. Yum. Justice. Revenge. A dish best served cold and also in the form of a kitty cat.
That might have just been a little bit of an experience difference. Just being like, oh, yeah, jump into this guy to kill him when really you wanted to try to jump out because that lurking in the waters is kind of a sucker. Sneaks up from behind you. The big way that you kill the Sobek is you just keep space from them and keep them at range with your autos and your damage. Your Chin's Blade is how you farm up a lot there. But Team Dubu still kind of keeping the pressure on. We've upgraded our shell for Nico Lalala, but also we have that Brawlers for Yash. So we have a healthy amount of anti-heal that will help us in these fights when we all jump on and engage. It's these long fights after the fact that I really feel like Team Dubu don't have the best play into.
Okay, Morgan Le Fay was by themselves, but they do have the beads. Might not be in the next engagement, though. Blink is down in exchange from Nicolalala, so you don't have to worry about that for quite some time. Mode of Chaos being built up here by the Osiris as well, and let's just talk about that Lord of the Afterlife. Roots, too, it's the only reason why Kaidan died.
Yeah, we have good lockdown here for this Morgan Le Fay, because a lot of our lockdown, like, it's that root, but also, like, a pillar stun could be good, a range spit from the Kerberos could be good, whereas Kaidan's really good at keeping people off of them once they're on top of them. Like, yeah, we root Kaidan with our Osiris ult, but then they immediately get pulled off. How are you gonna Dragonflight and on her hitting you at range? How are you gonna Dragonflight the Kerberos hitting you at range? It just doesn't quite work out there for them. I wouldn't hate to see a little bit of defensive items from Kaidan here, just to have that backup plan just in case. Like, we have bees, we don't have Aegis. Upgrade beads, grab an Aegis. Does not look bad here at all. Or maybe a combat blink, just so that you can still position aggressively and blink away when the time comes.
My beef just is when Sunprod finds these plucks, there's just no burst damage to follow. Talal Assault is only going to last for like 2 ticks before any member that's plucked leaps out. And at that point, you're just twirling a baton. Look at my cool little routine. Yeah, it looks neat, buddy, but look yourself on the damage charts. You're falling behind. That's a Kerberos that's outpacing you.
Yeah. But also, like, John Rowing isn't even here to do damage, right? They're just here to press conviction. They're just here to heal. John Rowing has been relegated to heal bot. Hey, Guan Yu does it really good. Chronos Pendant, Heartwood Charm, Breastplate, Genji's, a million cooldown items. Life is good. We are reaching a point in the game where it's like Team Dubu need to get a little bit more damage online. They've had double tanks. and they're one on her. So their single target damage is really good. They're going to start losing the Battle of AoE, though.
Ooh. The dash actually managed to dodge Stygian Torment. Well done. Lord of the Afterlife off the mark, and that might just be the pace setter, since Kaidon is feeling no pressure now. In fact, Yash has been poked out instead. Kaidon number 2 steps up to try to take some of the fire. Good body block on top of the service, but man, Nico La La La, just nigh invincible. I think Musi, this game might go on for a lot longer than 20 minutes.
This is going to be one of the longer paced games, but you'll notice that Hydrogen Bomb are winning the battle of attrition here.
This is rough. Mischarge prey, but hold on a second. Osiris approaching that fatal threshold for the Soap Execute. Will not find it. Instead, it's Cerberus. Low on mana, high on life. Tower instead going to be turned to. Kaidon evades the blue buff, just trying to find far more they can. Good pillar, but also a really good impale stun. Can't block Sunprod, though. They take the Phantom Shell and dash on out.
Link available for Nico La La La. You know, the Sphere Negation for the Kerberos is so good, I almost want to see it for the Osiris as well. I don't think it's a terrible ask. I don't think it's bad at all. Hello, speaking of Blink.
Charge Prey's already used. Bede's now down, but I don't think it's going to outpace the Judgment Tether. So now Sunprod's in really big trouble. As their Shell, Lord of the Afterlife, once again off the mark there. Sunprod saved by that miscalculation on the part of Yash. You got to make sure you're hitting those. They're very important.
Yeah. Yash hits that, very different story, but even after the fact, like, Kaidon and John Rowing are around the corner just to kind of keep Sunprod up just a little bit more. Keep him off and away. It's that combat blink there for the Sobek. Along with our Shell of Rebukes, we are very laden with our relics, but percent increase to stats for things like our Glad Shield, our Nemean, and our health, like, Sunprod's just so hard to kill. A Shogun's? You know what? I like it this game, right? You have Cody with the on-her that's rocking these on-hit effects. I don't hate that at all.
They get plucked in. Cody was the one you're looking for. Stygian Torment. Walks back in Sunprod. They do not have the beads after all. They're taking tower shots. Don't seem too concerned for it, though, in all honesty. There's another pluck, this time on the Cerberus. They leap back out. Any conviction healing that John Rowing deals out, keep in mind. You only have Nicolala as well. Can't be healed any longer if Yash has got the better hand of it. Kaidon is taken down there by the Lord of the Afterlife, but now begins to answer back with consuming power. So execute threshold's been met, and Yash goes down. One small meal there for Sunprod as they now have an Osiris-sized lump in their belly. And look at that, Hydrogen Bomb. Full health. Conviction bot. Absolutely disgusting. Guan Yu GBT.
This is a bit of a breaking point for Team Dubu here. Hydrogen Bomb can't really die. And you saw that Lord of the Afterlife connect, but we didn't have any follow-up from Cody because Cody just wasn't there. Lost Night goes the way of Hydrogen Bomb. That Phoenix is going to be disabled. It kind of felt like Team Dubu was happy to wait for this late game, but really it was Hydrogen Bomb that was like, well, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Because think about it, like, their damage is just slow chip over and over and over again. The thing that makes this team composition so good is the fact that Sobek can't die, John Rowing can't die, and if those two characters can't die, that means that Kaidon can't die. Kaidon doesn't even have any, like, tank in their build at all.
Hold on. Kaidon can be in trouble. Now you have Cody there to follow up, but they're at too long of a range. Desert's Fury finds damage, but the autos can't. Lord of the Afterlife, though, denies any healing to Kaidon coming in, but they are still able to get on out. Cody has to focus on this Morgan Le Fay because Yash is already dead. Now Cody's in trouble, too. Recognize the real threat a moment too late. Now they're also dead. Nico La 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 locked back in. Surely will be joining them, well, maybe not soon, but after a while. Wait for the intermission screen.
Did you see that Kerberos heal when Guan Yu did the conviction? I mean, he was big, but not big enough. Yeah. Kaidon just goes kind of not looked at enough. And Sunpron and John Rowing can't die. All the anti-healing in the world is just not enough to slow down the Guan Yu and the Sobek. Just because, you know, Lord of the Afterlife is going to wear off eventually. And when it does, guess who's there to heal up? Lost Night, Guan Yu, Bomba.
Team Dubu might have been the demons led out onto the Joust map, but Hydrogen Bomb are also certainly not an opponent to be underestimated. They'll take it in Conquest. They'll take it here too.
Really good showing there from Team Yubu, though. I mean, I was sitting here for a second. I was like, I gotta watch some prod lose. That's crazy. Like, it was looking really good. I like their draft so much. I like some of the build decisions too. Unfortunately, Guan Yu is just overwhelming. The war of attrition style for Joust is what can really push stuff over the edge. Moving forward, I would really expect teams to just take this character off the board. If you're not banning Guan Yu, it's because you're trying to first pick it, and if you're going to let the other side have Guan Yu, you need to make sure that you at least have something like an Apuash available on your team, just so that you can punish the excessive indulgent amount of healing that this character pushes out for you.
And maybe because there's so much healing, you think, I gotta kill this Guan Yu first, but the reality is, you gotta kill Kaidon. Look where Cody is, trying to catch up this entire time. And Kaidon is thus able to free cast. Finally, Cody realizes it, but the disperse misses. If that had hit, that could have been a different story. Unfortunately, not the timeline we're living in currently, so Kaidon is able to survive, and that means they're able to thrive. Team Dubu certainly gave a good run for their money, but at the end of the day, the bomb went boomba.
As it does, Sunprod, John Rowing, and Kaidon will be moving on. I really did... Dude, Nico Lalala's build is just so good in my eyes. I feel like the early Draconic Scales, I was a little sketchy on first, but then I saw that fight where they just walked away and lived forever, and I was like, very nice to go with that Sphere of Negation. Also keeps him up in terms of damage. Really like that a lot. It's just unfortunate that when you have a Guan Yu on the other team, it just, none of that matters. It just really doesn't. Even when you're taking away so much of that healing with your Kerberos anti-heal steal, as it were, it just doesn't matter, because 15k ally healing is ridiculous. Kerberos self-healed at 4,600. And that's stealing away what could have been the ally heal for John Roy, but it just didn't matter. That number is gigantic. You gotta ban that pick.
Really should have been 20k if you really think about it in that sense. Yuck.
40k.
Well, disgusting. And that's why Guan Yu gets banned, right? We had Aphrodite left alive, and no one took that up, but the Guan Yu seems to be actually the greatest threat. We've learned that from Benny Q. He learned it now a second time. Fool me once. Fool me twice. Will it be a third time? We'll find out with more Smite Prime action coming up in just a second. Stick around. Summer Bash returns after this. Hello everyone and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. Summer Bash and JOUST action semi-finals here. We're starting to get up into the heat, the meat, the delicious gooey center of this bracket here today. D'Lo here behind the mic, joined by Musi right here by my side. Almighty eyes in the sky. Mort and Tess. Keep the prod lights on, that cam steady. Jithin's behind that curtain, and Bracket coming at you. Pow!
I really want to dive into the heat and the meat of this bracket, D'Lo. And I feel like a lot of the heat and the meat of this bracket lies in these semifinals that we find ourselves in. The Avengers versus Hydrogen Bomb. Looks like the Thing is got bopped out by Rent Drive for Globe, and Pinky Up won over the Goombas Goons. So it's gonna be a banger set here. I mean, I feel like I think either of these teams could really come through here. I'm very excited.
Rent Drive for Globe, Pinky Up. That's who we're going to be stepping up to in just a moment. And because, of course, it is semifinals, that does mean it's going to be some best of 3 action. Because it's best of 3 action, there's going to be just some vault bans. What is a vault ban, Musi?
Well, Vault Ban basically says that if you've picked a god in a set, you can't run it back and pick it again, right? Your Thor that you pick in game 1 gets locked away into the vault. It cannot be redrafted. This applies for both sides, however. So if one person picks a pick, nobody gets it for the rest of the best of 3. However, Joust, you only need to pick up 3 characters. There's 3 bans on each side. I feel like there's still plenty in the pool to look at. So you can really have any kind of draft that you want. A lot of core foundation will still be available.
What flavor do you want? Do you want Guan Yu heal spam slop, or do you want tank spam slop, or do you want kind of regular damage, 2 damage, and 1 frontline slop? We've seen all forms of slop here. They're all delicious, but
yeah, big on slop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slop.
Proc slop, heal slop. Many
Good
forms.
Slop, bad
P's and B's
slop.
are coming at you. We'll see which one we get here in
slop.
just a moment as we hop on in. I got to imagine, though, with teams having this much experience now, we're starting to get to the peak, the pinnacle. Guan Yu's got to get banned. There's no way we are letting him through. I'd say Afro is much of the same story. Opwash too. I think those are three gods that you really just don't want to see.
You could also consider banning things like the Achilles. I think Artio is a good follow-up pick if you're not able to get Guan Yu. I do think that, like, Artio is solid here, be it aspect or no aspect. I think if you go aspect Artio, there's just a lot of healing. It's going to be very handy. Morgan Le Fay, Atlas, Charon, some of the magic carries I'm thinking about. Hunters, I'm in a weird spot with. I'm kind of not sure how I feel about it, to be honest, because I really feel like every time we see them, they don't really perform. They don't really have a spot here unless you are able to kind of get all your items online. But then, even when you do that, it feels like it's just not enough in the face of like 2 tanks and a mage. So maybe more assassin type deals, like a Hunbots is solid. Wouldn't hate to see something along the lines of like a Thor. I feel like that's still pretty good because the walls and the ultimate is like truly global, like because the map is so small. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but the things we were saying before for sure, D'Lo, like Opwash, Guan Yu, Aphrodite. Oh yeah, Bastet. We just haven't seen Bastet at all today. Now as we kind of head towards the top, it seems like neither side wants to deal with that. But no, Guan Yu got through. So hey. Oh! Ooh.
But
don't go.
I don't know though, man. We've seen this story before, Musey. Cerberus can't eat through all those conviction heals. Pinky up, say. Morgan Le Fay? Alright. I guess we're just kind of taking the scraps of the composition that we saw before on each side of the last game. And the Sobek is going to be rejoined as well. So we're taking some notes out of Hydrogen Bomb's book.
Does anybody pick Guan Yu this game? That would be odd to me. Just because that pick feels super good. Neath. You know what?
Okay.
If there's gonna be an ADC that I would run, Neath is not bad here. The ultimate's good, but also with her aspect, I think, just gives her a ridiculous amount of attack speed. Plus, now we're able to have the Opwash. That's why we can't pick Guan Yu, because Opwash is here. And a late Opwash, Sobek's got a heal, Morgan Le Fay's got a heal. So I like this. I like this Opwash. I like the red for drive for globe composition here. Not too bad. And then on her to wrap things up. Feels like we have very balanced teams here. Mage, ADC support for both sides.
Okay. This will be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. I
like this.
Opwash and Cerberus cover a large amount of area with both their ultimates. Empty the crypts, of course. Covers just about the entire lane. The entire lane, actually. Pinky up. What do they have? Burst damage now, following that pluck, which makes me happy. Having the on her there, I feel like makes it a bit less of a death by 1,000 cuts and more of a death by a shunk, and then a
yeah. Yeah. There's like maybe like 6 or 7 cuts you'll be able to wrap this up in, I would say. The Morgan Le Fay still isn't that, it doesn't have that big kaboom burst damage that I think a Neath or an Opwash does, but I still quite like it.
We'll see if Rent Drive for Globe do, as they hop on into the game. Once again, first game for this best of 3 semifinals for the $525 grand prize at the top. One of these teams got to move on. One of these teams got to get gone.
Looks like Neath will be going the aspect. So Tegvir has got this Death's Toll to go with all their attack speed, so a little bit of sustain to be had in the back pocket there. Same with Onher. So we are seeing more Death's Toll pickup for Joust Hunters as a whole instead of the Gilded Arrow, and that's because we really value the sustain and lane. Plus, I think it's just a little bit harder to find and kill that marked minion that Gilded marks for you, so you don't get as much gold anyways. But 3 Aegises for Pinky up, Agi, if you will, means that they're going to be fairly susceptible to that Stygian Torment.
An easy red buff picked up there by Globe. That caustic buff going to be really annoying to deal with all the poke damage that the Opwashers already has ticking on you. But like you said, lack of bees. I mean, you've talked about how important Aegis has been in the current meta, but with how much displacement there is available, that is sometimes a bit frightening, nonetheless. We'll see. Oh, hold on, right? Rather. Yeah, the team's flipped up. With how much CC they still have, honestly, between a Neath route, there's honestly still a decent amount there to go for.
Well, and I look at the other side of who's going to be on the receiving end of the Kerberos ultimate, and I think, like, well, Sobek on her, Morgan Le Fay, they've got CC immune ultimates to be able to pop in response, but we even saw in the last game where if we're able to land that paralyzing spit and then follow it up with the ultimate, that's kind of the 1-2 punch that you get there to confirm that you will be able to pull somebody over. But, a Talisman of Purification wouldn't be the worst pickup here. Especially for a Morgan Le Fay, because she can abuse, being able to have extra cooldowns, given that Talisman of Purification gives you that 20 cooldown rate along with that stat increase. So I do kind of like that for this team comp, especially because Morgan Le Fay is a character that really just wants to cycle through her abilities. She can build up her passive, she can get more intelligence, and then landing more and more Soul Reaver procs to chew through health bars and everything like that. So there is counterplay available here on the other side of things. And Aegis, like I said before, you pop beads to avoid CC because of the damage that follows the CC. If you're able to just, Aegis the damage you would have taken anyways, and then it just kind of becomes a question of okay, but I'm going to be out of position after this Aegis falls off, and that could be a potential issue for me. How do I play around that? Morgan Le Fay is able to keep people off of her. She drops a fear at her feet. She's got Dragonflight to lift people up and out and away. Plus her own ultimate, if she still has it at that point, gives her a little bit of a heal depending on who's marked by what magic sigils. And then she's able to kind of skirt away. She's pretty agile when she's in her ultimate form. So I really feel like there is a fair amount of counterplay.
I was about to ask, because speaking of CC and the Morgan Le Fay, the healing from her does come from her ultimate. So in that sense, the Fleeting Breath won't be able to find the stun off of that since she is CC immune. But the Sobek's a different story. The only issue is, though, with that, Sickening Strike's not the most predictable heal. It's not a tick heal either. A lot of damage on the Sobek right now. Globe trying to finish off the kill from the left side. Throws out a Fleeting Breath, but Opwash, very scrawny. Not going to get that too far to get the last blow on top of Alfie. So they're okay for now. We go to the purple buff.
I'm with you. That Fleeting Breath when it comes to that Morgan Le Fay interaction specifically. If Jingaru drops their ultimate early before Fleeting Breath finishes its damage cycle, that could put the Morgan Le Fay in a really bad spot. But, Alfie's going to have a tough go this game. Not only is Sobek putting themselves...
What a great Stygian Torment! Immunes the pluck! And instead gets the suck. Unfortunately, has no damage too much to follow up unless it's on her. Sticks around for past their welcome. Ultimate in pocket here for Tegvir. But the World Weaver, I will say, the stocks go a bit down given how small the map is.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we just didn't have anybody to follow up of that Stygian Torment from happen. It looked good. You pick up 2, you know it's going to happen. They don't have any ults to immune, and they have the Aegises, but it's just not quite there. Oh, I was going to say before, D'Lo. So, Alfie, right? I feel like they're going to have a tough go this game. Just because there's that common, you pluck yourself out of position late game. But also, what are you following up with after you hit that pluck, right? Either that Tail Whip or a Sickening Strike. And if Globe is there to put that Fleeting Breath on you, that means that Alfie's going to be eating a stun deep in enemy territory. So that means they almost immediately have to go into Lurking Waters. And at that point...
What the heck? Happen has just got this Sobek's number. Might have him on a poster as well. Soul Expulsion to rip their body apart.
Wow.
First blood deservedly goes to the Kerberos.
I'm speechless. That's gotta feel so bad. Alfie was already gonna have a tough game because of this matchup, and now Happen is just spitting you out of your pluck. Sure. Yikes. That's tough. Maybe a Stampede will help. See the Olmec Blue and the Legionnaire armor? So extra movement speed for Pinky up. It'll give us another way to start a fight. Just run at them instead of plucking at them. So I'm kind of hoping for that there. But man, it's going to be an uphill battle for Pinky up. Already kind of showing the cracks.
What? Dude, Happen... Nah, it's just Happen buff, dude. That is crazy. Listen, Happen and Tegvir. Passive duo buff whenever these two get locked into a lane together. Both of them, the single-minded drive to win unites them, but Pinky Up at the very least can unite around this red buff and get something for their troubles. If you are Pinky Up, who are you trying to get that pluck on, and how do you make sure to kill him dead?
I mean, In a perfect ideal scenario, you don't get hit by Stygian Torment, be on her, disperse away, but chase after. They'll have to use Aegis, but they're already dead. Globe's got the tick damage. Well, so a perfect Sobek pluck, huh? You had asked before. I would say,
Yeah.
Ideally, maybe Alfie can pluck Globe, right? I mean, you could try to pluck Tagveer, but they should be able to backflip away. Maybe you'd be able to chase afterwards, but like the pluck is your chase, so that's kind of tough. So in a wonderful, perfect scenario where the sky is blue and the sun is shining and nothing bad ever happens in the world, you're able to get the pluck on top of Globe, and then maybe a pillar stun after the fact. But like, here's the problem with that, D'Lo. Globe is not going to be positioning in a position where you're able to get the pluck off. Like, more often than not, these tank CCs are hitting other tanks, and the question becomes, can I burst this tank when the time comes? So, realistically, Alfie will be plucking Happen. Now, the problem with that is that Happen has showed themselves to be proficient in dealing with getting plucked. Either I have beads, I'm going to ult in response, or I'm going to paralyzing spit in response. Now, Alfie doesn't get to play the game. So then you're thinking to yourself, what are some other ways that I can kind of get in this fight and get it started? And at that point, you're just like, I think we have to play for the engage from Rent Drive for Globe as opposed to being the aggressors in this situation. Maybe Happen steps out of position, we pluck Happen deeper into enemy territory where Globe and Tagveer maybe aren't going to be there to help them out. Like, a tower line would be a great pluck, but again, Alfie just cannot play because Happen's got the stuns, Globe is able to threaten a stun with Fleeting Breath, Tagveer's got roots, so it really feels like Pinky Up is kind of banking on maybe a later game scenario where we can be a little bit more playing for like a counter-engage situation, more reactive instead of proactive.
Shield of Rebuke already being built here by the Kerberos, and that's just because in a format, in a map where everyone's all gathered up, these relics are all the more important. Team utility. Every fight's a team fight. Beads forced off of Happen by the pluck. That's solid for the Sobek, but question is, in the next 140 seconds, can you find another favorable engagement where not only do you get the pluck, but Happen just doesn't Stygian torment you in response? Haven't yet to see it, but I got faith that Pinky Up can find something.
Avenging Blade pickup for Tagveer here, and it looks like a Survivor's Sash as well. So I wonder if we're going to get like a Sunbeam Bow? Well, ult for ult there for Happen, but again, oh, Alfie.
This is trouble. The rest of the team's not there to back you up. Not even just ult for ult, ult for ult for ult. Speaking of,
oh man,
the Crypts in response to the lurking waters, Alfie gets added to the corpse count. And it's going to be the red buff free for Rent Drive for Globe. No housing crisis if you're on the side of order, but Pinky Up, they might just get evicted.
The Sobek pick is looking a little homeless in this moment. Like,
nice.
I mean, that pluck was just a little bit late, but also, like, you know, if the Sobek is able to pluck somebody in that scenario, who's going to follow up? Jingaru and Privative don't have ultimate in that moment. They're completely poked out. Yeah, and they're just out of position. It was a very hopeful pluck, I think is the best way to describe it. We really just can't play off of it too well. Rent Drive for Globe are slowly but surely building up their lead. There's that Sunbeam Bow, second item slot for Tagveer. I was wondering if we were going to see something like that. There was a chance of his Executioner, but that item is just bad, so we're not going to build that. And now we've got it, so Tagveer is able to activate their Sunbeam Bow, get a bunch of procs of their passive with their aspects, now they're ramping up their attack speed, and we just shred a Hellfire.
Happen to take some poke for their troubles, but beads from Tagveer ensure that now Sobek has the danger flipped on top of them. The World Weaver drops down to one knee. Might drop the Sobek down on top of their face. A great pluck on top of the On Her.
Wow.
Now they're in the backline, but they turn and head to two. On top of Tagveer, that does his Fury. Finds the nice disperse over the wall. Priv manages to get out and put the first kill for Pinky Up.
That was a good heads-up play from Priv there.
Yeah.
Holding on to your pin and making sure that you hit Tagveer, as opposed to like throwing it at Globe or Happen or anybody else that's like in front of you. Good call from the team just to be like, hey, turn around, pin this guy, and we kill them, try to jump over the wall afterwards, and you live, right? That's good stuff. So Pinky Up, you know, they're still here. They're still able to make plays. Like, we are in semifinals for a reason. It's just going to be a harder fight to play into. What is Tagveer building? Are
never
we
know.
building Breastplate of Determination? Because we've
No, isn't
got
that
the... Yeah, we got
the
Bulwark.
Shibalba?
Oh, Shabalman Effigy. Okay, so I heard about this.
Yes.
Where, yeah, there's Manatome. Okay, so some ADCs are building Shabalman Effigy to kind of keep themselves nice and
That was a
tanky.
strange
Because all of your damage comes from Avenging Blade and Sunbeam Bow. Yeah, that was kind of weird, huh? That was odd.
Well,
Game.
Happen stays alive for it. Bede's down now. Bede's down off of Neath for quite some time as well, so somebody can maybe look for her instead. But you gotta make sure the Plucks aren't just hopeful, but they're calculated. They have coordinated follow-up ready afterwards. Priv, it's separated from the rest of the team. And Tegvir down on one knee. Target locked in sights. The Pluck on top of Happens to call, but again, what's it really gonna follow after? Instead, it's
No
gonna be
beads.
damage on top of Jengaru. The fleeting breath robs them of their last. And a backflip aggressively on it, and Tegvir trying to get some more damage on top of the Sobek. Globe finds a full combo, but Alfie and Privative gonna likely live through this one. Instead of the red buff, once again taken. 10 minutes in, it's 4-1, and Red Drive for Globe could maybe even look for the Lost Knight.
Good Neath players will clean up kills with their ultimate, get those last hits so they can kind of be an impact on the map. Great Neath players start fights with their ultimates. Again, nobody has beads for Pinky Up. So the only real way to deal with the Stygian Torment is to ult for ult it. When you get stunned, you can't use your ultimate, you know? It doesn't have a cleanse attached to it. You're a little cooked. So following that stun, Happen is able to use their own stun. You daisy chain your CC ultimates together to confirm that kill. So it's just another layer of, man, I can't get Fleeting Breath stunned by an Alplash. Man, I can't get ulted by a Neath. Good luck dodging that. It's undodgeable. So this really opens up the door for Happen to be able to kind of do whatever he wants and play however he wants. We still don't see a Talisman of Purification yet. And while I really like Aegis, I think in this situation, you have to respect both. You know, you need to be able to say, hey, listen, Magi's, Talisman of Purification, I'm going to need at least one of these so I can break that chain. You see the Talisman for Globe, now they've got their own Aegis.
Maybe they've scalped it, bought it off the shelves. Now it's way more expensive. Not retail price at all. Happen might be the discounted pluck you look for. Instead it's a stampede on out from Alfie, but instead they charge right to the fountain. Those empty the crypts, do so much damage, but the last spear from Priv, Desert Fury actually going to answer back. So both of the tanks will fall. Globe denied any follow-up. A good World Weaver. Priv is still out here on the front lines. Globe decides that it's best to just turn back the Lost Knight. A 1-for-1, but Rent Drive for Globe get the better hand with the OBJ.
While Rent Drive for Globe look at this Lost Knight, I'm going to look at this Shabalman Effigy that we see here for Tegvir. Because this is an item that we very rarely see as like a general rule. So it kind of, you know, brings some questions up about where it could fit into the build here, right? Because it gives you a lot of survivability for your build. It makes it so that when you have your Avenging Blade and your Sunbeam Bow, like you're really relying on that for your damage, as well as like a Titan's Bane. So I don't know. I like it for Tegvir. It's that extra added layer of protection.
Globe sees the flank coming from that Morgan Le Fay. I also want to see this Talisman of Purification that you mentioned earlier come from her, because not only is it just good value for the rest of the team, but it's also cooldown, which means that your CC immune ult comes online quicker, which you're going to need because Happens building that cooldown too, that Screeching Gargoyle, so that means Stygian Torment, it's on a shorter timer than consuming power. You're going to be in trouble more often.
Yeah. Globe could also like go for like an Ansile 2, the Betty Q strat, where that suddenly your ultimate becomes like a giant silence field, which is very terrifying.
Oh, true.
To play into. Oh, we found two. Uh-oh.
This could be trouble. They have to turn towards the on her though instead. Sobek's not the primary target. They finally figured it out. Kitty Cat caught out, but does have a great impale to buy distance. Globe warding back the Sobek. Has to Aegis away. Finally, Tegvir finishes off the kill thanks to a well-placed World Weaver. Can't dodge that one, sucker, but maybe you could get a counter kill on top of Tegvir. That shell ensures Tegvir won't die. It's Shingaru instead. Double for Neath.
Globe might be able to clean up the kill on Alfie here. You see the health ticking away.
What?
There it is. A last breath. Bomba. See that
Listen,
Jabal and
baby.
Effigy on cooldown for Tagveer. That's how they're able to squeak out the win on that 1v1. Just being able to give yourself that extra stat there. Take 50% damage for 40 seconds. And then you take the damage later after the timer is done. But you can't drop below 5% health. So that damage can't kill you. Moonlight phase part, not as relevant. Joust does not have Moonlight phase. It's exclusive to Conquest. But, hey, it basically says for 5 seconds, or for 4 seconds, rather, you take half the damage. If you can kill your opponent in that 4 seconds, you just kind of get away scot-free. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Plus, again, these prots that you're building make it harder for you to be fought, but I think the real linchpin here, 300 max mana, 4 mana regen. What else is in your build, Dilo? It's a Sunbeam Bow, right? So now with your Sunbeam Bow draining your mana, Jabal and Effigy gives you the extra bullets in your mag there to be able to kind of dump the clip. You bang, bang, bang. The Sunbeam Bow gets to shoot forever.
Hopefully Alfie's back in a bulletproof vest, because this could look hairy. Nice impale, man. I gotta say, Briv has been kind of the shining star of Pinky Up, has both their kills, and has been doing a really good job with their targeting, as well as just these pin placements. Keeping themselves safe and keeping happen, getting their paws dirty once more. That being said, a red buff exchange for a Lost Knight would be great. That's why they're going to take the TP instead. A blink on in. They do find Globe. Beats come
Alfie's
late, but
dead.
where's the follow-up? Alfie's already gone. Stygian Torment. Going to be dodged by a nice disperse, but the World Weaver will find them, forces out the Aegis. Desert Fury comes out, but Honor slowly backpedaling themselves into danger. Priv has the fire waves to contend with now as well. Tagveer is going to join the fight with a nice backflip. Nice disperse. Unfortunately, a nicer kill from Tagveer. They're on the rampage.
Man, the Sobek went in for the pluck and immediately paid the price, and it's kind of what we were alluding to earlier in the game of, man, you just don't get to play and happen as the number, dude. Like, it just got completely shredded. Speaking of shred, oh my gosh, look at that damage.
Bye, Lost Knight.
Tagveer. Bye-bye, Lost Knight. I'll miss you. It disables the Titan, too. So at this point, Red Drive for Globe can just start to walk in and clean house. 15% penetration online, 0.8% healing, and mana regen, which is even better when you've got the Sunbeam Bow in your pocket. Every second you get all that mana back. And remember, Jabalban is giving you just a crazy amount of mana too. So Tagveer's holding left click forever. Happin's going to be able to live forever. Globe spamming all your abilities. It's a tough fight for Pinky Up.
Jengaro's positioning is interesting. Maybe he could try to find the flank, look for Globe or Tagveer in the back line. But surely, you know that there's not a Morgan Le Fay in the throne room. She's got to be somewhere. Now she's back, having hit the hot back right back to base. Not wanting to risk a full frontal assault is instead going to be the plan. Plucks on top of the Cerberus. The damage, not too shabby. Stygian Torment, though, will bring Sobek right back into the front lines. Forced to Aegis, but rooted in place to eat the corpse explosion. Alfie will go down. Phoenix is burned away. The Disperse doesn't ensure safety. No, Empty the Crypts can finish the
Holy
job.
damage.
Globe adds one more body to the coffers, and the Titan is surely next. Game 1 goes to Red Drive for Globe.
Man, not only was Tagveer's build really saucy, I heard the clang from Happen, and I looked at their build and realized they had Shroud of Vengeance as well. So even when Sobek goes to pluck the Kerberos, they're taking damage from a Shroud of Vengeance. If for whatever reason Happen should fall below a certain health threshold, the Mantle of Discord procs, and suddenly everybody gets stunned, and you just plucked this guy at your team just to eat a stun really fast. I don't know. That was just very, very difficult to play into. So it's a tough game 1 for sure, but absolutely something that could be fixed in drafts, because I really do feel like Rent Drive for Globe's draft just completely outpaced Pinky Up's.
I'm not going to say just draft. I think it definitely was partially, but also communication. We saw that Sobek pluck in the Lost Night pit. It hit Globe. That was the ideal, perfectly sunny day, like everything sunshine and rainbows pluck you wanted to see. Oh my god, how many plucks are we just going to see stuffed out by Happen, by the way, in this early game? Disgusting work by the Cerberus.
Oh,
but
gross.
There was no follow-up. Globe even used the talisman in the sky just to give you that ideal peachy situation. It was looking like a dream, and it suddenly turns into a nightmare when Alfie realizes my team is like 7 paces behind. They can't get to the fight. They can't follow up. Globe walks out scot-free, and Alfie is out in a hearse. Also, really good play here in this moment from Priv. Look at that. Yeah, that impale combined with Desert's Fury. Just some solid awareness. I think Priv can definitely pick up some of the pieces here, as well as the rest of the team. Pinky Up certainly got a chance, but for right now, the chips are down.
It was a really good heads-up play there from Priv earlier, and I like that a lot. It's just that, I don't know, it really did feel like a draft diff from Rent Drive for Globe. Also a build diff. The Shabalban Effigy Sunbeambow combo is really saucy. I like that. I think Happen had really good counter building here because we were able to upgrade our shell right away. And then we also picked up a Magi's, and then we also have a Beads. So it just makes the small, limited amount of CC that Pinky Up had completely negated. Whereas Pinky Up never acknowledged the CC. And I'm literally sitting here saying, like, no, I like Aegis more than Beads. We really do value Aegis incredibly highly. There's an asterisk next to that says, hey, if you're getting CC'd a lot, you still have to counterbuild that. You still have to acknowledge that, right? Like, you still have to think about the Talisman, the Magi's, right? If you go completely without into these giant CC ultimates, you get cooked, right? That is just how it goes. So there just has to be a small focus shift, I think, in our building.
And that can come partially in thanks to those drafts. Keep in mind, folks, fault bans do mean that those 6 gods we just saw cannot return. Still a lot of top picks, though. The Guan Yu is still available. The Afra is still available. So maybe next round we just see a new flavor. Maybe next round all the healers come to play since Cerberus cannot stay. And nor can we. We're going to be right back after a short little break, folks. But stick around. After this, more Summer Bash. Hello everyone and welcome on back to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. Summer Bash and a Joust Fest coming at you here. Semifinals, Game 2, to see if the results can differ. D'Lo, here in the booth, joined by Musey, right by my side. Almighty Eyes in the Sky, Tess, and the Morton Man. Keep the prod lights on that cam steady. Jithins, behind the curtain, you watching at home. Vault bands on your screen. What's that mean?
Means that all the characters that you saw in the last game, we're not going to be picking them again. This game, they've been locked away into the vault. If you are a little bit late coming to the games here today, don't worry. We will have a graphic for you on that picks and ban screen so that you can see which gods cannot be locked in. But I'm going to talk a little bit about it right now. I think it feels pretty topical, right? So Apwash is not available to pick. That does mean that a lot of the healers are going to be pretty prevalent in these picks and bans. I feel like they're going to be pretty high value.
Cerberus is gone too, dude. Like, the 2 premier anti-healers. You have the Osiris, I suppose, but we saw that has weaknesses. You missed that Lord of the Afterlife, that ultimate's on the longest cooldown of all the abilities. It's not ever present like an Opwash Fleeting Breath. It's not ever present like the Kerberos passive. Pinky Up, Rent Drive for Globe. Pinky Up on the first pick, but did not get the first game, so they have to really make sure that whatever they top lock, it's good.
And I feel like there could be a certain pitfall where you might be home thinking like, well, what if we pick Aphrodite and the Guan Yu? And I'm a little sketchy on that just because then we lose a lot of CC, we lose a lot of damage potential. Got a good stretch in? You good?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Lumbar.
So let's take a little bit. Do a little bit of Joust today, a little bit of that stretch. You know, it's kind of, you hear the grocery stores, or I hear it at Quick Trip a lot, right? Where it's like, you must now take your mandatory stretch time, employees. And I'm sitting here like, what in the world are we talking about?
That sounds
Limber
dystopian.
up. It's game 2. Oh,
hell yeah.
All right. That was good. All right, that
We're
felt
back.
good. So, On Her and Neath are going to be off the table as well as the Morgan Le Fay and the Sobek. Take a look at the bands here. Bastet's off the board. Guan Yu got through. Aphrodite got through. I feel like one team each kind of trades those picks if they want to have those healers on their team. I value Ardio here pretty significantly as well because she has a lot of lockdown, a lot of very helpful CC and healing that can go with the rest of her kit, right? There's the Afro. So now if you're Rent Drive for Globe and kind of expecting maybe a Guan Yu, if we want that in our back pocket, or an Ardio, we do want something that can deal with this Aphrodite. So we want a little bit of anti-heal available in the kit. Now, Agni would have been one of the first characters I look at for that because the Smog has the anti-heal, but it's not going to be available. Call me crazy. I wouldn't hate a shock aspect these days. And that is like a crazy left field. This is very much a Musi opinionated thing. Because if you try to slam a chalk aspect in most situations, you're going to get rolled. But being able to control so much space with damaging rain and having the anti-heal attached to that, the ultimate is very influential. I like that too. I feel like there could be a space for play here for that.
They are daring Pinky up to take the Guan Yu as well. Newt and
Yeah,
Hoi Yi,
do it. Take both.
two really great ADCs. I'm worried though, man, because these are two gods that require scaling. These are two gods that you want to stack on up. I don't know about that one, man. I think Pinky Up do take the Guan Yu, and I think they just kind of run them over in the early through sheer heals alone. Rent Drive for Globe. They have some decent CC. They have some pretty good circle ultimates. I'm not convinced. We saw Inferno go up in a blaze of glory in that first round, but they did get kicked out of the bracket after all. Juan's banned?
Juan's banned.
Juan's banned. Just
Juan's
completely?
banned.
Oh, okay. All right.
Got it.
You see,
There
you
it
see
is.
that right down there?
Yeah.
There
There it
got
is.
it.
Right over there.
All right.
He's banned. Okay. That does change
Nice.
things significantly. So that does mean this Afro first pick makes a lot more sense in my mind, because me personally, I would have picked the Guan first.
I thought Guan would be better,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, but okay. This recontextualizes a lot. So now Pinky Up need a character we can link to our Aphrodite that could just kind of roll the game for us. Princess Bari is 100% one of those characters, right? I feel like
Dude.
she's able to slam abilities a lot. She lacks mobility in a meaningful sense. Like, she's got a little bit of the zig and zag, but this Afro, but that undying love can really keep her alive. Plus, Bari ultimate makes it so that if you were to fall down and die while you're in those bells, you don't, right? You get to live off one health, a little small pseudo-Aegis effect there.
I'm scared for how many get out of jail free cards Pinky Up has. Undying Love, the Bari ultimate, Moonbot's going to be added on top for their Soul Fizz side of the damage spectrum representative. Bacchus for Rent Drive for Globe. There is some anti-heal coming out from the Bacchus, so at least that does something to
Yep,
try to
I
put
like
a
the
dent
belch.
in Aphrodite's Shrine. However, is that enough is the question. A lot of dive as well from Rent Drive for Globe between the dive bomb and that belly flop, so they're getting active.
You know, and Newt's got some damage she can get across the board as well with that Staff of Mirrodin to double dash on top of somebody to get just a bunch of unmissable damage. It's very hard to react to. So I like both the comps here.
We'll see how they end up faring as we step into the field of battle. Game 2. Rent Drive for Globe trying to make this a drive-through. Get all the way to finals with your bag of burgers in hand. Pinky Up, though, you want to slow it down. It's high tea for them, and despite having a Bacchus on your side, maybe not high tea, I guess, high wine. Either way,
Tea time?
whatever beverage you have in hand, they're trying to take them down.
You Pinky out for tea time, I think. Not as
Makes
versed in
sense.
tea, but I think you can Pinky out. Worth noting
Yeah,
here,
actually,
Alfie is rocking that Honbat's aspect, so we're losing a little bit of that Fizz damage. You see the Warriors X there too. So a lot of what we want to do here is just have a lot of cooldown to be able to get those stuns off the board.
nice little root there. Jangaro, get some pressure for it.
Yeah.
I've got a question. So the Heart Ward does reduce the cooldown for healing abilities. The Kiss is not healing, though, so that does make like a Guan Yu. You're not sharing the love quite as frequently. Great double flop there.
Wow.
Could be trouble now instead. Egg is forced out from Jangaro. We're looking for Priv instead. Interesting that Priv is rocking this Aphrodite, considering that before we were hailing them as such a great on-her merchant. But now they're in far more of a support class role.
So, what I will say about Bari and Afro together is that between the Bari knock-up and the back-off from Aphrodite, it is very hard to stick to these characters. We have good answers if the Bacchus decides to flop in and go for a belch, like got Kiss to stun. That's all well and good. Range roots from Globe are going to be the real tricky part.
The Belch interrupted by the quicker stun of the
He's all
Staff
alone.
Slam. Intoxicate is all that we need to take down Priv. Pour one out for the Afro. First blood for Globe.
Changaru is too busy getting stunned by a blue buff in the backline to be able to come and help their team, unfortunately. Alas. Also, Happen was kind of a menace with the Kerberos. They're also a menace with the Bacchus, because every time I see this guy flop in, he's knocking up 2 people. And that is just tough. And in that last engagement, Alfie, like, goes down towards, you know, Phoenix side, but then Priv is trying to rocket over to the left side. Rent Drive for Globe hits their level 5s, and then boom, Aphrodite is cooked. It'll be a little different now that Pinky Up has got their own ultimates. But again, you know, thinking about what strong CC Pinky Up have, and I see 2 beads for Globe and for Tegvir. Happen has the shell, so you imagine they'll be able to upgrade that. And then look for a selfish beads for their own account. First, though, it looks like they're going to go for a prophetic cloak. Should be pretty easy to stack and joust, honestly, with all the constant fighting.
Level 5 difference has been obtained by everyone now, which is good. It means Shingaru and Priv have their get out of jail free cards. It seems as Afro really has eyes only for the Bari. Happy Pride. But it also means that this Hun Bots is not going to really be recipient of too many heals. They got to make sure they stay safe with positioning alone. It does make sense since Bari doesn't have that mobility.
Yeah, well, and Alfie's going to be building more tank as well. Battle Axe, Olmec Blue. It's a Runeforge Hammer to start things off for Alfie. Makes sense, right? You get a CC, you follow it off with some damage. It's a very traditional, like, solo-y build. And in my opinion, like, I feel like it fell off a little bit just because Axe wasn't as good, but that's, like, in the context of Conquest. I mean, Joust usually are able to kind of get out of that first item slot pretty quickly, all things considered. Now it kind of slows down. The really interesting part of the build for me is the fact that Priv has gone Shoguns. And I feel like a large part of that has to do with the fact that we're constantly connected to Jingaru, and Princess Bari is building up her passive through her autos. So now we're going to be able to constantly spam our enhanced Bari abilities. It's kind of the goal there.
Ooh, good stun on top of Priv. They're in trouble. Forced Undying Love. The Spirit Cadence comes out, and Globe is the one who falls at the end of the day. Alfie makes their entrance as well. Drop the Fear No Evil in the midst of the chaos. Priv nearly eats the Ricochet. That could have been curtains. But they're still connected to our friend the Bari. Vegas is going to be a response. I still think the flop is in possession of the Bacchus. They, in fact, use it, but the Staff Slam is the instant response. Displacement immune as well from it. Has to body block now for their soulmate. The dive bomb on in. Priv is able to keep them alive, but Alfie could be in danger as well. Those beads will keep them out of it. That keeps Pinky up with the 1-for-1.
Interesting there. It looks like the targets were a little bit split. As Alfie stuck to happen, but Tegvir was able to put a lot of pressure into Privative and Jingaru. Or I wonder if maybe if we all just focus down that Hou-Yi. Yeah, they still had their dive bomb, but if they dive bomb out, that means that, you know, maybe you don't get the kill, but it's fine. If they dive bomb him, you definitely blow that guy up. Even if you have to lose somebody in the process, which you really shouldn't have to, because you have this Aphrodite. So, kind of feels like there are small moments here where it could be just a little bit better. But already I feel Pinky Up are having a better go of it this game than they did in the last game. The vision seems a little bit clearer on what we want to accomplish and how we're going to do it. Fear No Evil, plus our aspect of disruption for Alfie, and then kiss stuns and knockups from Jingaru. Feels like we have a lot of very threatening CC, and then we'll be able to follow up on it once we get Princess Bari to have some more items online. The Chronos Pendant, first item here. Again, everything is in favor of just spamming abilities. The Shoguns, the Chronos Pendant. It's all here so that Jingaru is allowed to just press buttons as rapidly and as effectively as they can.
Speaking of rapid and effective, I'm loving Tegvir just sending out these ricochets. This map is so well fitted for it. It's a pinball machine. Look at that, just forcing you to be walking through a bullet hell. Good double stun there off the Staff Slam, but an instant response from Alfie is to leap on out. Don't want to overstay your welcome, but maybe just bait out some beads. Only on the Hou-Yi at the moment. 20 more seconds till Newts come back up. Some solid poke, good Fear No Evil. Happen could be in trouble. A Staff Slam stuns them in place, but unfortunately once Pinky Up get their kit rotation down, they don't really have too much left in the chamber.
Yeah, they empty the clip and then they kind of have to sit there and reload after the fact. And what I really feel like they lack is maybe a bit of chase potential, because who's really going to be able to close the distance? It's just the Hun bots. So,
yep.
Takes a second for Jingaru and Priv to catch up there. Whereas Rent Drive for Globe, you could Bacchus flop after, you could dive bomb. He mentioned the dive is very strong from Rent Drive for Globe back in picks and bans just because they have so much chase potential. And the lockdown there too. Checking back in with the builds. Talisman of Purification there for Globe. Makes sense, right? Cooldown, CC immunity. Not just for Globe, but for the whole team.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Good stuff. Aegis there too. Love that relic. Big fan of Aegis. We love Aegis here. It feels like Rent Drive for Globe is playing a bit of a slower game this time. We're going to get Noon online. We're going to get Hou Yi online. Happen can kind of keep Pinky up in check. Ooh. Aphrodite will not be the only tethered character here. There's a doublet of binding for Happen. Tagveer.
Mort, I'm sure, is cheering in the booth.
This item is very good. So when you link, 20% of the damage that your linked target would take, you take up to 600. And the damage is mitigated by your dampening, which Doublet of Binding will have 5 attached to it already.
We'll see if that's going to be enough to match Afro. Her soulmate's got a bit of a different vibe to it. The perk, in fact, as well, that you can teleport to them right through the suns. Good work there by Priv to not lose their nerve. But now they've lost their connection. Get a new one in the form of Bari. Explore your options. Love Island out here, but no love here for the Hoonbots. In trouble. The Skyfall comes out, but the Monkey Somersault actually gets Alfie out to danger. No, Tagveer able to finish it up. Was that a Ricochet that did it?
It must have been. I mean, Tagveer was so far away. OU was so valued in Smite 1 Joust for this Ricochet. Maybe not as hard valued in Smite 2, but here to remind you why he used to be the actual GOAT. In the 1v1 scenarios in Joust, Alfie just couldn't get away. And, of course, Tagveer is living forever because of this doublet of binding attached to them. Oh boy. You think Primitive gets a doublet of binding? I think it would be heat, to be honest. It's not a bad item at all. I think it's actually very good. I'm always surprised when I see it not built as frequently. Just because I feel like it gives you so much. A shifter shield for Alfie.
Dude.
That is an item that we don't see very often.
Aspect of polyamory. Aphrodite can now kiss 2 people at the same time. Doublet of Binding can get that done too. Would go crazy. Hold on. Fear no evil. Almost went crazy there, but the beads are the answer.
Aspect of polyamory is actually ridiculously... That's a good idea. Somebody write that down. Somebody... are the devs here? Caps Lock? Caps Lock, are you watching? Write this down. Aspect of polyamory. Very nice. Kiss multiple people. And she'll get a support aspect. More so than her base kit.
Yeah, I was about to say, she already got to be in that role. A belch's going to stun her out, but nothing too much coming from it. Almost 10 minutes in. It's 1-2 in favor of Rent Drive for Globe. Not a 1,000 gold lead their way, but in Joust, it's about as good as it gets at this point in the game.
Yeah. If you're swinging like a massive, like if you have like 3k gold ahead, that's because the game's probably going to be over soon, is what it feels like in these Joust games sometimes. So 1k is still kind of scary. Hello.
Nice suns. Phantom Shell forced out. Ricochet off the sun, though. Could be trouble. Skyfall, the Undying loves the response. Staff Slam interrupts the belch. That was needed to make sure that the Bacchus couldn't halt their retreat. The back off as well, but the belly flop on in does not find Priv. Look at Baxter from the Afro. The sidestep for the Ricochet. Nothing will touch this Afro's head.
Well, Rent Drive for Globe, a little bit off the mark. Pinky up. Juke shoes were on in just the right moment there. Now, Tagveer doesn't have ultimate, neither does Globe. Pinky up could look for a fight if they wanted to. But it feels like when Rent Drive for Globe is being so aggressive with their own tools, Pinky up is forced to use theirs defensively. Like, Undying Love is, except for like very, very small edge cases, almost entirely a defensive ultimate there to make sure that somebody doesn't die. I mean, yeah, you get bird reset, but that's not really how we're building the character right now. We have Shogun's breastplate, Olmec Blue and Legionnaire's armor, so maybe Stampede or something along those lines be picked up later. Whereas Rent Drive for Globe are just able to pedal to the metal run at you. Yeah, with their Skyfall, their Bacchus flops. Thank you, Happen, for showing a Bacchus flop. Good timing there. But I feel like it's only a matter of time where Pinky Up have really got to start being the aggressors with their Hunbots. Maybe not like that. We need follow-up, Alfie. Follow-up! Your teammates need to be next to you, Alfie.
Yeah, oh man. How many times are we going to say that? Alfie, love the engagedness. I love their willingness to try to get something started there, want to initiate, but you got to make sure you're calming with the team, especially when one of those teammates is an Aphrodite who is likely to have Jengaru in tow. Those two are probably playing as a match set, so if Alfie's by themselves, they're really by themselves.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about how Afro and Bari are characters that just cannot get to the team as quickly as others. So I
don't have a
does
TP.
feel like, yeah, like we don't
I don't
have
have
the
a sleep.
dash, we don't have the jump. You got monkey flip. That's awesome. We can't do that.
Do it, Alfie.
You know, that's a you exclusive thing. I thought he was gonna TP in there too, just for the one time,
That would've
just
been
to show
funny.
that he could.
Just to show us
SMH.
that
Look
he
at
does
that.
not give a... Yeah?
Yeah. Ansel pickup for
Yeah.
Happen, by the way. So now the Belch, not only does it stun, it silences, and it should silence for just annoyingly long enough to get the stun off. There it is.
Wow, that was so well done. Stops out that staff slam. You called it, we saw it instantly. Alfie eats a ricochet for the troubles too. Saying, man, sure would love a kiss right now. I'll get one. Nice, bro.
Mwah. Good stuff.
Aw, I get one too?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess so. Somebody else in this booth. Kiss by
Doesn't
proxy.
seem to be
Kiss by process of
anyone
elimination.
Ooh, run try for glove. Looking for the kiss of death to the Lost Knight, potentially. Ult for Alfie.
They could force a fight.
No undying love. Jengaru's got the Spirit's Cadence. Maybe to keep someone alive. Beats forced out. Might need it, in fact, to save Alfie. What a great
Triple
triple
knockup.
knockup, though. Here comes Spirit's Cadence. Does keep them alive for a bit. The Skyfall pulls back in the Soulmates. Privet is actually attached at the moment to the Hoon bots. Jengaru might need that right now, and then they will get it. That movement speed buff. Hurried rush to escape. Once again, the ricochet off the mark. Priv is so good at dodging these Hoi Yi stuns, and that's what's keeping them in the game.
Can't believe Alfie was able to survive all of that. They're so tanky. Shifter
Nice,
shield
Bari.
coming in clutch right in the nick of time there, the Bari too. But now Wrench Drive for Globe can go for a pickup on the Lost Knight, but again, this is what makes these healers so good, Dilo. It's that battle of attrition. Because if Wrench Drive for Globe don't get the kills they need in their engagement, if they aren't able to clean anything up, Pinky Up just has to back up, and then heal up with Afro. And one of the sneaky things about Princess Bari that maybe you don't immediately consider to be relevant is the fact that she doesn't have a mana bar, right? So as long as Privative has mana, which, you know, Privative should always have mana, you have a Breastplate of Valor and a Sands of Time, Jengaru is just going to be able to stay connected and chill forever. Their real resource that they have to manage is just their health bar, and Privative has that covered entirely. It's really just down to Alfie to make sure that whenever they commit, they don't overcommit, and if they are going to try to get away, just calm that to the team, be like, listen, we're going to back off here, we're going to own the space while I go heal, because they can't really force us out. We can win the siege as long as we play patient. As long as you make sure that you're not getting too antsy or too squirrely. Rent Drive for Globe have to be able to win off of kills. And if they can't get the kill through the first strike, you don't give them the space to get a second one.
Flop off the mark, staff slam, not the same case, but no longer has it to stop the belt stun. Fear no evil's the response, Spirit's Cadence as well, and Happen will fall in a massive circle. Speaking of, here comes the Suns, here comes the dive bomb. Here comes the death, doesn't seem to matter. Jengaru will take down Hoi Yi. And Alfie tries to follow up with somersaults off the mark. Eating all those tower shots, maybe not advisable if you're trying to chase down a dangerous newt such as Globe. For 30 seconds, Rent Drive for Globe are 2-man down. That means the tower will fall.
There it is. That survivability of the Aphrodite coming in clutch there. Just to offer just enough healing to get through, right? Happen goes in, isn't able to get the right setup. Uh-oh, Alfie.
Oh,
That's not
did
good.
not have a kiss.
Well, did not have a kiss. No kiss for the Humbots. Oh well. But we're still able to get a tier 1 tower, so it's not bad at all for Pinky Up. In fact, that's like a perfect fight scenario leading up to this moment. Happen, even though they have that Shroud of Vengeance, you still have to CZ them. So you eat a little bit of the damage, you don't really care too much, but as long as you keep on the Bacchus, lock them out, get your damage on, you should be good.
I don't know if Globe is. Ricochet the bells and the Barial. A shower of spiritual cadence. That's going to be Globe down for 40. Lost
Down to
Knight
the
being
wire.
taken here, though, in response. Can Priv take it? No, it's Tegvir instead grabbing it for Entry for Globe. A very heads-up play there on the macro side, and now it could be Priv being chased out. Bari says, that's my ride, I'm out. Afra will be able to escape as well. Not only does that, of course, just get a bit of extra gold in the stats of the Lost Knight, but more importantly, denies it to Pinky Up, disabling that bird.
This is very true. Plus, I feel like Jingaru backing in that moment, Pinky Up just had no idea that that was happening. They found Globe in that jungle section, and they were like, oh, what is this guy doing here? That's crazy, that's weird. Anyways, we're going to head out of here now. If Priv didn't walk over, there was just no way of knowing until it was too late. But I feel like in the universe where Jingaru walks over with Priv, there was a lot of steal potential there from Pinky Up. Losing that Lost Knight is going to give tempo back to Rent Drive for Globe, because now they'll have 15% penetration, which might be enough to be able to take a look at, Privative or Alfie, that extra damage to punish the Hunbots that is constantly jumping in for their engage.
17 minutes, it's 4-3. Pinky Up could be in trouble beneath the Skyfall as it looks for Jingaru, but won't be able to find too much besides damage. At the very least, though, guarantees the tower can fall, courtesy of that Lost Knight debuff. That's okay. Alfie decides to go on in, but where's the follow-up again? Alfie, you're too far forward, buddy. I don't have a leap. We do have an Undying Love and a Spirit's Cage, but now they're outside the buff's range. Aegis going to come through, and you've left behind Jingaru to explore other connections. Priv looking more like KC, and now you're out of the villa. Only Alfie's there to survive. The Phoenix will go down. That might just be wraps.
Man, I mean, Alfie has a great last stand here. Monkey flop, monkey flip, monkey dead, right? 15% penetration of the Lost Knight buff. I told you, man, you cannot walk up with the same fervor that you had before, because you are going to get shredded. Man,
you think you're all that, Jingaru? Ridiculous. That was unfortunate, man. They seem to have a game plan. Tegvir says, "Here's a little girl, Jingaru. I'm Tegvir." Little Love Island reference for y'all. Y'all caught up.
There it is.
What's going on?
Hey, there. I've been watching a little bit on the weekends. It is what it is.
Have you?
But no, not at all. Why would I watch that?
I hate you.
It's terrible.
Okay.
We'll talk about it after the game, but man, Pinky Up's team comp, I liked it a lot more. They were playing it really well. It really just was that one Lost Knight buff where we're actually able to finish the kill on Alfie when they go in there. Because a lot of what made these fights work was Alfie would go in, be very annoying as this Hunbots, hold the attentions of Rent Drive for Globe, jump out, drag their team over into the waiting arms of Jingaru and Priv. Last engagement, we have 15% more pen on all of our, items. Titan's Bane, Rip Talon available for Tegvir. And suddenly Alfie just eats a stun and then eats all of their health just instantly. Well, and then, of course, Happen gets a crazy knockup because it goes to you.
Alfie went too far forward. I have the leap, but the rest of the team doesn't. Like, again, go get him attitude. Oh, is that allowed? We had a
go get him
that
attitude.
test.
Yeah, but that is kind of what happened, where they just pushed a little bit too hard, and they were expecting to be tankier than they actually were. And then because then Aphrodite has to bail out this Hunbots, nobody is there to save
Bari
the Princess
too.
Bari. They get jumped on, they get eliminated off of the board, and then, that's game.
Man, oh man, dude. That was unfortunate given how it was built up. We saw the vision. They had the Afro first pick, and I thought, honestly, it was going to be best of 3 going all the way to 3, but no. Instead, it's all down to here. It's all coming up to the grand finals up next, which will be rather soon. So stick around, guys. More Summer Bash, NA Joust action after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome on back to Smite Prime Summer Bash, NA Joust, where the plays are always premium. Now, at their peak, baby. Grand finals, game 1 coming at you here. D-Lo, here to bring the action in the booth. Joined by Musey, right by my side. Almighty Eyes in the Sky, Tess, and the Morton Man. Keep the broad lights on, that cam steady. Jithin's behind the curtain, and Prizing coming at you. Bam!
Whoa! NA Joust 525 big ones here on June 28th. Catch it right now on Smite Game.
It's like your MTV voice. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you like
Pretty
that?
solid.
Solid?
I more prefer like the movie like this summer. NA Joust. $500. Rated R.
Not
starts
too bad at
Friday.
all. Starts Friday. The bracket showing now. Hydro John Bomb and Rent Drive for Globe going to be our finalists today here in the finals of the finals. But we do have some additional rules here when it comes to the finals. We already know about it if you were here for the last set, but just a refresher out there for those who need it. We are playing with vault bans. So in a best of 3 set, once a god is played, that god is locked away in the vault and cannot be picked by either team for the rest of the set. Basically, you can't double dip your chip, all right? You're gonna pick that Guan Yu once, you're never getting it again for the entirety of the set. Now, here's the thing. For Joust, I feel like only having 3 slots to pick means that maybe you don't have to stress out about it as much. But for some of the more premium picks out there, like the Guan Yu, the Aphrodite, Ardeo, Achilles, Kabrakan, I feel like you really want to make sure that you're prioing the right stuff and having it at the right times.
Yeah, right time, I think, is an interesting way to put it, because, like, again, we saw the anti-healers all got taken out one fell swoop, right? It was Opwash and Cerberus now off the map. Then Aphrodite becomes very, very important. Granted, did that squad take the win? No, sadly not. But
No.
nonetheless, it was almost able to get to that point because of the potency of Aphrodite, because of the context of her being played in the second game once those vault bans took into effect. So keep in mind, guys, like you said, it's not just about what picks you get, it's about what has already been taken off of the board thanks to that system. Pick some bans coming at us right now, so we're going to see what the first round entails. Guan Yu, will he be banned away? Will he be here to stay? We'll find out.
If I had to guess, Rent Drive for Globe probably bans away the Guan Yu because Hydro John Bomb would want to pick it up first, is what I'm leaning towards.
I agree.
Just realized that Hydro John Bomb. I was like, Hydrogen's not on this team, actually.
No.
Wait a second. But that'd be crazy.
The 2 best names, I'd say.
Hydro John? Yeah, I was about to say,
The best 2
Hydro
names.
John as a naming convention would be really solid if you had Hydrogen on that team as well. So somebody make that happen. But we also still have to consider picks like the Opwash, which, like, you ban Opwash if you want to pick the Guan. So I feel like maybe Hydro John Bomb bans away Opwash, but Rent Drive for Globe is going to ban out the Guan. Somebody's got to ban away Achilles. I think that pick is really, really strong. We're also looking at things like Kabrakan. Agni is something that I don't think anybody really wants to play with. And then Bastet, which kind of like has been banned and then hasn't been banned. Like, we forget about it. I feel like sometimes maybe the players forget about it too.
Like now.
This time it will be able to go through, but so will the Guan Yu. So I feel like it's going to be first pick Guan for Hydro John Bomb. If not, probably a Bastet. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's been a case where Bastet has been left on the table and still not put on the block, so maybe Rent Drive for Globe will forgo her as well, but there's still Kerberos, right? That's been one of the answers. You have Osiris. Odin Cage, if you want to get crazy with it. Guan Yu can't escape it, but many other gods can. Yeah, I also feel the same.
Yeah.
Cerberus makes a lot more sense, and that's why you see a top block. What do you want to see alongside it, Muse?
Well,
Ooh,
the Merlin is a
anti-heal.
good shout here. I like that. But for your Guan Yu, I wouldn't hate to see a Bastet here, just so that you could have some extra damage in pocket. A mage to go with the squad wouldn't be too bad. Something like the Newt would be a good shout. You also could just kind of stack up on your tanks. Like, Sobek Guan Yu combination was really good, especially because you had the Hekate kind of sitting in the back before. I think we saw that earlier today. Kabrakan is another good shout here because it interrupts a lot of what the Kerberos wants to do, plus being able to kind of lock in the Merlin if they don't have their flicker makes it very hard to get away. So yeah, Kabrakan makes a lot of sense, and also it's a lot of damage attached to a tank. So overall, Hydro John Bomb's build here seems pretty sound.
Morgan Le Fay pick alongside those cap walls. The Neath is the response from Rent Drive for Globe.
That
It
makes
was
sense.
formerly used by Tegvir pretty gosh darn effectively. So we'll see if they can put it to the same practice. Is that enough though, Musey, to stop a Guan Yu? I'm scared.
Conviction healing is just really oppressive, and even when you have a
Yeah.
Kerberos, like the big problem with Guan Yu healing isn't necessarily the healing that's happening in combat. The really insidious part of this god is the healing that happens outside of the combat that makes it so hard to deal with.
Well, we're going to hop into the game, and maybe into the fray as well. We'll see if they're able to grind through all those green circles with some of their own. That's also worth noting. Happen on this Cerberus pick and try to maybe pick up where we saw other Cerberuses leave off. Get that Sphere of Negation maybe. John Rowing's not going to be doing much damage on the Squan, so some Mage Prots could be the key to victory.
So, looking across the board here, and I see we got beads for Prod and Kaidan, Globe and Tegvir, shells for Rowing and Happen. So we have answers to the Cabrakan walls. And if your Hydrogen Bomb shell is just a good pickup in general, we know what the Guan Yu build is going to look like. Heartward Amulet plus cooldown on cooldown on cooldown. If you're Sun Prod, I'm kind of interested to see what route they take. Draconic Scales is not a bad pickup here because of all the tick damage that can come out from Globe. They've got Bluestones so that will instantly stack up your Draconic Scales. Not bad at all. And we know what Tegvir's going to be building. That Jabalban Effigy Sunbeam Bow build that makes it very hard to 1v1 the Neath. So understanding this, it really is just going to come down to which support is going to be able to get their CC off. It feels like Hydrogen Bomb has a lot more CC than Rent Drive for Globe, because you have not only the Cabrakan with stun on treble on cripple, but John Rowing's got a stun attached to their ultimate, and Kaidan has got quite a bit of peel tools, maybe a little bit of setup that they can establish here. And the follow-up is going to be what's really key for Kaidan. Whereas Rent Drive for Globe is kind of vibes, right? Maybe Tegvir finds a Root, but Happen is going to be the main driving force of when they want to get a team fight started.
And with that Talal Assault once again here to counter out the Cerberus, Stygian Torment doesn't have quite as much value. Especially if you don't even have the ultimate in the first place, pal. The Conviction heal actually kept Happen alive as well as the rest of John Rowing's team. You kind of have to think about that a little bit. If your target is the Cerberus, maybe you hold the trigger finger on the Conviction unless your team's in mortal danger.
It is crazy just how much value this Cerberus gets off the healing from John Rowing just being around. And the difference here too is that Conviction no longer is just a flat burst heal. It's a heal over time is what makes it like even stronger for both the Guan Yu and the Cerberus. They're really benefiting off of that. But again, like I said before, what really pushes this character over the edge for me is the fact that this heal is just so good outside of combat, right? Like Hydrogen Bomb looks for a skirmish, they scuffle for a bit, they back out outside of the range of the Cerberus passive, and then they heal, right? And then they go back in. Whereas Rent Drive for Globe do not have that kind of sustain in their kits. Like Neath, maybe, but that's about it. Like Merlin, if they take poke damage, it's really bad. And Kaidan is playing a character where they are poking pretty effectively. Morgan Le Fay plays at range fairly well. I feel like the only other character that really kind of puts her in a box is Agni, and that was banned away, so we won't really have to worry about that too much. So, Hydrogen Bomb's composition here is just brutal to play against. It is just very hard to play into. They outpoke you, they outsustain you, and when they're ready to commit to a fight, they are just going to lay into you with a bunch of easily applied CC. So Rent Drive for Globe at this point is going to try to get to a stage of the game where it's like, well, all right, we need to prepare for these late game engagements where we're all in committing and hold left click harder than everybody else. That's what Tegvir is for, right? Avenging Blade, Sunbeam Bow, Jabalban Effigy, Audi Bow, Titan's Bane, go crazy, right? So the win for Rent Drive for Globe involves Globe and Tegvir getting the gold that they need to be able to overpower that heal over time and shred through Cabrakan prots.
The issue is, of course, you only need a Heartwood Amulet. This Guan Yu is one item versus the 4 you just listed. It's going to take Rent Drive for Globe a bit longer to build up the funds. Maybe get a Patreon going, buddy. But even the fact that they already have a drive going for the rent, they're probably not feeling the best financially. A red buff maybe could help. Cavalry Charge in response to the pull from the Merlin forces out the beads from that same character. So now Globe a bit more vulnerable in the future.
Merlin could easily be looked at within the next couple minutes or so. So if you're Rent Drive for Globe, you're playing back here. You're not really looking to engage or get engaged upon. If Sunbrod is able to connect on top of Globe, it's very, very bad. Now, in this game, and Globe already does this when they build Soul Reaver like they have right now. You see that Oracle Staff and the Reliquary. So we know that it's around the corner. A Talisman of Purification for our Merlin specifically would be really solid for the same reason that we see these mages pick it up regardless. Good cooldown, good stats, but that team beads. This way, Merlin will be able to pick up an Aegis as well, which I feel like they're going to desperately need just in case John Rowing or Sunprod are able to connect on top of the Merlin. Now, John Rowing's damage isn't that great, but the fear factor of having a Guan Yu on top of you, he's like a giant traffic cone, right? Like, he's just very annoying. He's got a slow in his kit, too. He's able to dash on top of you. It's just bad news for the Merlin, whose only real mobility is that flicker. So, second item slot is where I would really hope to see that talisman, if not third.
5 minutes, 0-0. Yawn, and the gold's about even as well. What do you think breaks the bubble? Which action from either side is what's going to result in the kill going into someone's pocket?
I mean, we could see Happen go in for an ultimate potentially. Oh, hey, what do you know?
Great walls there, though. It's a safety net, actually, to catch John Rowing and keep him safe.
Yeah, that was kind of the scenarios looking at where, hey, well, Kaidon's out of here. We look for that Stygian Torment on somebody, because remember, like, John Rowing's got Shell, not Beads, so they are a little bit more susceptible to the ultimates from Happen, so that makes them the prime target. And if we're able to get that Paralyzing Spit into the Stygian Torment combo there to make sure that John Rowing can't get in their ultimate, the thing is, in the time that you're picking him up, you have to kill him, otherwise he gets on the horse and he leaves. One of the Smite 2 +1s that Guan Yu received is they are able to use Conviction while they're on the horse. So that means that once they're on that horse, they can just start healing more again. Makes it very hard to actually lock that character down. Mode of Chaos for Happening Globe. Upgraded Shell, Talisman of Purification should be on the way. Look at the other side of things. Sunprod's got a Yogi's Necklace, so Bracken will be constantly healing and not worrying about it too much. I don't believe Tegvir builds chins in their Shabalba and Effigy Sunbeam Bow build. So we're really relying on the Soul Reaver to shred away Sunprod's health. Kaidon 2 has got Chronos Pendant into the Soul Reaver coming up next. So a lot of this is kind of what we expect. Honestly, Dilo, this is feeling like a game where both of these teams, and this happens a lot, the higher and higher we get in these brackets, both of these teams are just chilling for like level 20. We're playing the farm game for a long time unless somebody like really shows their belly, offers an opportunity to get jumped on. Ooh, like that Merlin in the back.
There's one right here. Flicker down, cavalry charge out, finds the stun, but that Phantom Shell actually is still going to allow Merlin to get out. Potentially, no! Consuming power! 2 swishes of the sword. And Globe falls down lifeless. The Dragonflight, while it does get good damage on Tegvir, also pushes them further into safety. First blood to the bomb.
That was kind of the nightmare scenario for Globe, right? Like I said before, if Sunprod is able to walk up to the Merlin, that puts them in kind of the worst place imaginable. I like this rotation on the map here as well. Go take the purple buff. There's no point in sinking into that tower because, again, what we're looking for is Lost Knights to be able to burn through Tower Phoenix's Titans. Controlling that farm on the map is what's going to really force your lead and push even further ahead. But again, Globe's positioning has to be on point, right? You can't really walk up too much if you know that Sunprod is just going to run at you. You do have that Talisman of Purification in the second slot there. Like, that's good for Globe. They have an Aegis, but Kaidon, again, has range with their ultimate. It makes it very hard to take poke at all. And that is really the win con for Hydrogen Bomb, right? We poke out Merlin, and then we kill them. Then we get to fight a 3v2. We can repeat the process for Tegvir. If at any point things go sour, we back up, we heal with Guan Yu, we go back in. Rent Drive for Globe, their game plan is, we're gonna hit level 20 and kill these guys. That is what we need to do. Happen's gotta find an ultimate on top of, John Rowing or Sunprod if they don't have beads. Which they don't right now. But beyond that, it's kind of hard. Now, Tegvir does have ultimate, and for similar reasons, like, you can Paralyzing Spit into that Stygian Torment. You can Neath-ult into a Stygian Torment just to kind of heat check if they're going to beads or not, or if they're going to try to use their ultimate or not. And the latter point, a little bit more applicable to John Rowing more than anything else. So that is kind of the landscape that we have for this game right now. Like, it is very quiet, but I want you to think of it like a pot of boiling water, right? There are some bubbles happening right now. The pot is simmering, and at some point, it's going to start frothing over. You've got water splashing all over your stove, right? You hear a zap sound. all of a sudden your oven's broken. You have to pay like, 2-4 grand just to fix it, and then it's an entire ordeal.
Surely, with your cooking skills recently acquired, I was thinking that the metaphor was going to go in the spaghetti direction. I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised. How's the spaghetti going? How's the spaghetti cooking been going, man? How's it been going?
So I've made homemade spaghetti sauce twice now. The first time was okay. Like, both of these spaghetti sauces that I made, I've been pretty happy about. The first time I used ground beef. The second time, the real difference maker is that I used Italian sausage for the spaghetti sauce. So, and I'm a really big fan of stainless steel cooking, right? I like making a lot of food in stainless steel pan because I like developing a fond, and then I like deglazing the fond because that's just a lot of flavor to be had there.
Sounds delicious.
I'll pause the spaghetti talk, but no, it was really good. Honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna keep talking about spaghetti. It's fine. So the big thing here is that you cook your Italian sausage in the stainless steel pan. You develop a fond, and then I took the sausage out of the pan. I let it rest on like a little plate. I threw some mushrooms in there and half a chopped like white onion or yellow onion, because you want a little bit of sugar in that spaghetti.
Yeah, the sweetness
balances everything there. Yeah. And then tomato paste and fresh minced garlic. I kind of let those flavors get to know each other there. And then I deglazed with tomato juice. Which I thought was kind of neat. So I was able to pick up all the bits on the pan there and mix that in there. Cook off some of that tomato juice. And then I transfer all of this into a different pan because I have a bigger pan that I use for like the sauce itself. I transfer that into a bigger pan. I've got cans of, chopped tomatoes that I put in there, herbs de Provence, obviously throughout all of this, like salt and pepper at every stage. I also did onion powder and garlic powder, just because I want different flavors of those things there. And then that is what really elevated it. And a bay leaf, of course. Bay leaf is one of those things that like you don't notice when you have it in there, but you do notice when it's not in there. And then obviously you reintegrate the Italian sausage. I let that simmer for like an hour. It was heat. It was very good.
Does sound rather tasty. Sunprod on the front lines, trying to get something started against the Cerberus, but nothing much really coming. Stygian Torment. The response is going to be the Consuming Power and the Tal Assault, respectively. So no one gets picked up. Sunprod, front lines, getting some pretty solid damage up against Globe. Forces out the Flicker. Now, I'm using back to the important stuff. Some people prefer Spaghetti as a character in the al dente stages of the game, but some people prefer them a bit later on. Where do you think is their best power scaling?
I kind of prefer softer Spaghetti. I'm not an al dente guy. I don't like it. It's like a texture thing. Actually, does happen? No, he's invincible. Wait, he went in.
Beads off the Kaidan, has no ultimate. Cavalry Charge was used as well from John Rowan for CC immunity and a stun. Yeah, low on mana though, potentially. That could actually be what really stops this fight, is that Happen just has no abilities to continue on with. Kaidan eating the full Blizzard, but has the robe to keep themselves warm. Sunprod maybe a bit far forward. A bit too far forward. Good seismic slam, a great tectonic shift. But is the fall up there? Dragon's Flight tries to catch them. Consuming Power goes wide. Kaidan way too itchy with that trigger finger. Needed a bit more discipline with it. Those are like 2 dropped kills.
Man.
Spaghetti on the floor.
It's just not enough. Spaghetti on the floor. Not there. But this could open up the opportunity for Hydro John Bomb to... No, we can't take a look at the Lost Night. I'm trolling.
Man.
Anyways, back to Spaghetti. Well, no, actually, there were a few things that happened in that fight that I think is very much worth addressing. Because that fight looked very good for Hydro John Bomb. Hydro John Bomb. God, that's so hard. I hate this name already. The charm, the whimsy as Ward Off happen as an ultimate. It catches Kaidan.
This could be trouble, but no whimsy to follow.
Oh.
The own shades of Alfie here. You gotta make sure you got someone to back you up once Kaidan gets caught up. Phantom Shell, Consuming Power this time. Will find the mark on the backline. Tagveer's quite low, but Globe is still present. And it's gonna be John Rowing, who goes down as dead. One last hit from Globe off the ticks. That's enough to do the job. Sunpraw's been very far forward, of course. Not really a peel god, Cabrakan. More so of an in-your-face until you're dead god. But that meant that the Guan Yu is all by their lonesome. So has happened, but I think the dog's gonna be just fine.
We talked a little bit about cookery. Let's talk about these builds and check in with what's happening there. Tagveer is going the build that we assumed that they would, right? Avenging Blade, Sunbeam Bow, Jabalban Effigy is going to give a lot of tankiness and survivability to Tagveer here. Plus, some of that, tank shred that we very sorely need against John Rowing and Sunprod. Whereas it looks like, yep, we have Draconic Scale just finished up for Sunprod, so that'll be a really good pickup there for them. John Rowing is going exactly the build we thought they would. It's a million cooldown items. It's a conviction bot. It is what it is. But 2 Evil Eyes. Kaidon's going to have this Rod of Tahuti around the corner. That's a very big power spike here for Hydro John Bomb, so that Kaidon can really get some extra damage across the board. Whereas Globe only has 1 Evil Eye, so we're not quite close to that Rod of Tahuti.
Yeah, evil eyes to me are just regular eyes, just so you know the kind of world that I'm living in. Cavalry charge.
Right.
Okay. Gonna find the knockup. John Rowing's in trouble. The safety net is up, though. I love these ultimates from Sunprod, not for damage, but just to ensure security for your heal bot. Juan GBT is online. The prompt says, how do I kill this gosh darn globe? The answer is, not without an Aegis, but the tick is gonna be enough. Bluestone, baby, there's your advertisement. Packaged right in a coffin. Merlin gets shipped back home, and the tower is next.
There it is. Now we're finally reaching the stages of the game. People are big enough, and that death by 1,000 cuts, even when the Kerberos is around, John Rowing's conviction heals are just too much. It enables Sunprod to just stay up in the front lines however long they want. And you know what? I love the way that Sunprod plays this Kerberos. It is it's like very different from how I see, or not Kerberos, the Cabrakan. It's very different from how I see people play Cabrakan as like a general rule, because the ults are not even remotely selfish. They are like almost always to save John and sometimes to lock down somebody else. And that type of mentality is very interesting to see, especially from Sunprod. You know, jungler players are very selfish. Said it out loud, right? They have to be. And, you know, to see that level of teamwork there is kind of cool, right? You just don't really get a chance to see that utility aspect of this Cabrakan pick very often. So really got to highlight the way that Sunprod is playing. If you want to pick up some very interesting strats here, keep an eye on this player, because they have some sauce. We looped it back around. Up top.
15 minutes. 2-1. Hydron Bomb. I was almost there. About 2,000 gold ahead right now. And again, for Joust, that's pretty significant. That structure being down does, of course, also open up the map, make that Lost Night all the more tempting for Hydrogen Bomb. Run try for Globe. Those answers are starting to be built up. Level 20 is in sight. It's actually acquired, I believe. For no, not quite just yet. Kaidon's only 1 off. Happen a lost puppy. Animal Control is not able to quite pick them up, but they all have ultimate. When do we let it rip?
Globe actually has the Ob Shard. So they weren't going for Rod of Tahuti, they were going for the Obsidian Shard. So we have a little bit more penetration here for our Merlin. Is that a Phoenix Feather for Happen? It's another item we don't really see very often, but one that I feel has the potential for play. It kind of turns you into a Guan Yu almost. Like, just a selfish Guan Yu. You got some dampening, which would be good if we pick up a doublet, because you give your allies the dampening that you connect to. Could be heat. But being able to fire off 3 pulses, it heals you, and true damages, which is very good against tanks. Health plus missing health, right? So, being able to push you over the edge. And then if you're building a lot of health, helps you deal extra damage. Soul Reaver will be the only item on the side of Hydrogen Bomb that really chips away at that max health. There's no Hunters to build Chin's Blade, so building a lot of extra health, not a bad pickup at all for Happen.
Who has to flee the scene with a soul expulsion over the wall. Lost Knight's still available. I haven't got to see it taken a look at. Since Hydrogen Bombs still do respect Rentry for Globe and the damage they can output quite a bit. Merlin, of course, having a lot of burn potential on those OBJs, and there's no real secure factor. I guess consuming power, but that's certainly not the most reliable in their bag of tricks.
I really do feel that Hydrogen Bomb could take the fight over to that Lost Knight, because the Guan Yu Conviction Heal is just so good for pulling objectives. Not only can you keep your team up, but if Rent Drive for Globe walk over next to that objective, you just back up and you're like, all right, we're just going to heal over here and stare at you, right? We're wasting your time. We're making you antsy. We're making you nervous. We can pick this up and put this down whenever we want. But first, it's just the race to level 20 and getting your starter items finished up, like Kaidon's got there. Bluestone evolved. Say at the time, Bluestone for Rowing and Sunprod. Looks like we got our Pendulum of Ages on our Bluestone Brooch there as well, so now that's a very important power spike. I would expect to see a pull for this Lost Knight, just because though the difference between having your starter evolved and not having your starter upgraded is very, very significant. It's just a lot of extra damage and cooldown.
And now this Lost Knight's on cooldown as it gets taken out by Hydrogen Bomb without any contestation. Needs to hit the hop back so she can upgrade her starter too. And try for a little recognizing that difference you just mentioned. And Musi, I gotta say, you predicted this game absolutely perfectly. 18 minutes, 2-1. Very low action because we're just waiting for level 20. Now the real game begins.
Yes, so 15% penetration available for Hydrogen Bomb, as well as the 0.8% mana and health heal per second. This is going to push this team over the edge. Now we have active and passive healing for them. We have extra penetration, so Happen is going to get shredded through faster than they were before. So all those times that Happen got away with just a little bit of health, even Globe and Tegvir for that case as well, now they just die. So no Phoenix to protect them. Hydrogen Bomb, they wait for a wave to walk in so that the minions can hit the bird, and then they just fight.
Happen's already pretty weakened. Not looking good for the
just
puppy.
fight now.
Able to evade the fear. But the bird is what's going to be looked at first. The fight considered secondary to the structure. But they don't have a typical ADC to shred it down. Double Stygian Torment does good damage, finds no CC, consuming power on top of Tegvir. Kaion healed up quite a significant bit from that as well. Conviction's going to do the rest of the job too. Cerberus wasn't Aegis, and actually didn't receive that last Conviction heal. That might be the difference maker. Bird finally taken out there by Hydrogen Bomb, and with that, like you said, Musi, it's not just the in-combat heals, it's the out-of-combat heals. John Rowan gets to work.
30 seconds left for our buff, and Hydrogen Bomb are going to be able to walk away. It is worth noting that the longer that this game goes, Rent Drive for Globe will have the opportunity to sneak back into the game. I see that Chin's Blade online for Tegvir.
Okay.
So it looks like they'll be able to answer a lot of the health that John Rowing was building and that Sunprod have because of that Yogi's necklace. So it's just the waiting game, right? Hydrogen Bomb, either they wait for another Lost Night or maybe they can find a pick-up pincer maneuver on top of Happen here. They should be able to run away, but do they? No. Not yet. Rent Drive for Globe. Yeah, just a puppy dog. The old puppy dog step back. That's what I like to call it. Rent Drive for Globe have their Divine Ruin online, finally, for Globe. So it's a little bit of anti-heal, beyond just our Kerberos. I would have liked to see more, but I wouldn't know where to put it. Like, Brawlers or Stingy and Anchor would be cool. But, like, who's going to be able to fit that in their build? It feels like Happen is already full up.
Guan Yu charges down Happen, actually, instead of the flickered Merlin. Instead, it's a blink forward from Sunprod. Flickers down. Merlin is in a lot of trouble. Forced to Aegis, but look at the damage being output by Tegvir. Forces Sunprod back. That Neath, knowing the power of those enhanced autos, now can look towards Guidon. No, instead decides to wisely reel themselves in. You are all by yourself, after all, but only reason Globe's still alive is because they had Neath in their pocket.
Man, that was a really good blink play from Sunprod there. Blinks past the Stygian Torment from Happen, straight to Merlin, who didn't have their flicker. Just lacking in that damage. Drive for Globe. They have to defend this Lost Night.
So Bracken's around the corner. Happens at the front lines. Sunprod
Look at that damage!
Finished off the kill. In fact, there's the shell. There's the stun. Kaidon has to turn and look for the Cerberus instead. Could be trouble, though. Tegvir is already down to half as well. It's a slow, grinding halt of the health bar here for Happen. They have a Soul Expulsion ready. They can tell with their positioning. They leap over the wall, consuming power instead. Looks for Tegvir. One last swipe of the auto, and Sunprod will have Neath's head. That's the kill Hydrogen Bomb needed to get the ball rolling.
Kind of insane that Happen was able to walk away from that, but if you watch that Kerberos health bar, as long as they're standing next to Guan Yu, very, very difficult trying to kill that guy. Happen has got to go for a steal here, but looks like they won't be able to get anything. Beads? Probably dead.
That Soul Expulsion forward might have just sealed the puppy dog's fate. He gets put down by Sun Prodigy. Lost Knight still is up, but they're only just adding to the drip feed. 40 seconds off for Happen. I don't think Globe can die. That game might just be curtains. You might need to let the Lost Knight go. It's only going to cost the bird, but Globe instead lets Kainon go from the Mortal Coil. What an amazing flicker forward. Equalizes the board. There's no big damage dealers left for the bomb, so despite the deicide, all they can get is the OBJ. And not even that maybe if Tegvir steps up.
Yeah, Tegvir could get here in time. Guan and Kabrakan don't really have the damage to shred through this. As Tegvir rounds the corner, they'll have Combat Blink available.
Sunbeam Bow autos ready. Kin size in the blink. World Weaver is down, just to let you know that I am indeed here. Happen will be as well in 4 seconds. Drop down to about 2k. Here comes the Guan Yu cavalry charge. Neath. Calm, cool, collected. Look at the health bar drop, but they have the Thorns at the same time. Conviction comes out. No backflip ready. They need it at this moment. The tick does not finish the job. Somehow, Tegvir's alive, and man's best friend is on the scene.
Happens here. John Rowing's low, and the Kerberos stops the healing, but Sunprod is full health and just doesn't care, and guess who's back? Back again. Kainon walks back over to the pit.
Only damage dealer there on the field right now since Merlin and Neath still have to arrive to the scene, but this burn is rather slow. Sunder applied. Who gets it? It's Hydrogen Bomb, but now the real fight begins. Guan Yu's rather low. They need their heal bot, and they're going to take the TP on out to safety. With that safe, the escort mission complete. Kainon's got to get home too. Sunprod is slow immune, root immune as well. Death immune seemingly. Hydrogen Bomb, get their objective, get the hell on out.
Wow, that was probably the craziest Lost Night back and forth I've seen in a hot minute. Tegvir played that really well. Happen played it really well, but unfortunately, Sunprod was just full health the entire way through. Now, Rent Drive for Globe are going to be on the defensive once again. Man, I'm so happy for Vault Bans, because this Guan Yu character is so irritating sometimes. Like, he just sits there, he heals, and 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 even when you have all the anti-heal in the world, it's just not enough. John Rowing's ally heal stats at the end of this game are gonna make me sick.
Cerberus, too. Just leeching off of it. Like the bottom feeder they are. Blink far from Sunprod, instant step back from Globe. They gotta stay alive, they know it. Happen finds the stun. Stygian Torment immune by the dash and the beads. Now could be trouble instead for Happen. Has to Aegis. The Ghastly Breath shreds some prots before they dash on out. Sunprod still looking for this backline. Not too much success. The bird finally gets burned away, but Rent Drive for Globe still standing on their own 6 feet. Well, 8, I guess, if you count the Cerberus. Can they pull off the defense?
We don't have ults this go around, so if we can connect on top of Happen, there's not a whole lot that they can do in response, but think too, John Rowing is just going to keep everybody alive.
Good paralyzing spit there, forcing the beads off the Guan Yu. At the very least, makes them a bit more exposed. But again, this healing, those $500 if John Rowing wins, they're going to their med school. Because, man, oh man, this guy earned a PhD. The amount of healing knowledge this guy's got is ridiculous. Happen. Leaps forward, forces out consuming power. Now. Those diamonds. Empty on the side of Rent Drive for Globe. And a really important one off the mark, the bomb. They're going to back it on off.
You know what's interesting is that even though Hydrogen Bomb has so much control over these fights, what we really lack is just objective damage. Like, to structures in particular. It took so long to kill that bird even though it was disabled, and then once we're actually able to get on top of that Titan, the only way that Hydrogen Bomb is able to kill that Titan is if Rent Drive for Globe is dead. Specifically, if Globe is dead. Merlin buys so much space around these, Titan pits, these, corridors on this Joust map that make it impossible to play. Healing or no healing from your Guan Yu, John Rowing will get incredibly low in some of these fights. Like, yes, they're able to back up and heal, but one more little push, one small domino effect from Rent Drive for Globe, if we're able to finish a kill onto John Rowing, I really do feel like it'll be a House of Cards effect, and Hydrogen Bomb starts to fall down one after the other, because Rent Drive for Globe will be able to pick and choose who their targets are. So again, this Lost Night is very, very important because of the 15% pen it gives and the healing.
Sunprod on that corner in the purple buff well. Looking for these backliners once more. And they find him is the question. John Rowing shreds some prots. Lost Night forgotten. Poke applied, but that's okay. John Rowing can fix that, baby. Everyone gather around for me to kiss your boo-boos. Here's a band-aid. Sunprod's nearly back up to full.
This is what the Guan Yu does, right? You bait the subjective fight in and out, in and out. You establish the zone of control to try to force Rent Drive for Globe to take a fight on you.
Good stun. Happen in trouble, pin against the wall from the Dragonflight. Drops down the Shell of Rebuke. If you play inside there, you have extra prots as
Look at
well.
Happens Health Bar.
Sun Prod's still rather low. John rowing as well.
This is
The
it.
front line's being eviscerated by Tegveer, and your heals are no more, as now it's instead Red Drive for Globe, looking for the lost knight. 50 seconds without heals. Kaidon must be quivering.
Tegveer has the damage to be able to quickly put down objectives, unlike Hydrogen Bomb. It is exactly what I said. We take away this Guan Yu, and this team comp falls down like a house of cards. At some point, Rent Drive for Globe will be able to burst through John Rowing's health bar. But you had a really good call out in the middle of that fight, D'Lo. Sunprod, out alone and by themselves, cannot 1v2 a Merlin and a full built Neath. It's just not gonna happen. Right? They eat so much damage. And now Rent Drive for Globe. This is it. This is the watch this drive moment that Rent Drive for Globe have to push through. But John Rowing's going to be up in a couple of seconds. Everybody has ultimate. Everybody has tools. It's a hard fight into this Phoenix.
It's unfortunate the Lost Knight buff was used on the tower rather than the bird. Now it's instead the Tectonic Rift coming out here.
Holy
Force it
Tegveer.
back. Is that Merlin? But an amazing ult from Happen. Can they finish the kill? Soul Expulsion won't be able to do the job. Kaidon instead takes out Tegveer. And all of a sudden, Little Dog's looking lost. Able to leap past the walls, though. Thank God. But they're still in quite a heap and heck of a lot of trouble. Cavalry Charge going to stun them out. And all of a sudden, all their joy, their victory turns to ashes in their mouth. Hydrogen Bomb just blew up Rent Drive's plans.
Man, Happen and Tegveer, Tegveer especially getting just tick damaged away by Kaidon there. So tragic. I mean, Globe could try to play the wall, but 20 seconds is like a billion years in Joust time.
They know that he's there. Globe tried to look for the sneaky assassination, and instead, they're the one put up in the classifieds. Killing spree for Kaidon, deicide for Hydrogen Bomb, and a Game 1 victory. Heal, 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 repeat.
Tegveer's here. The Hail Mary, Neath? No. My goodness.
They're all full.
Oh, they're all full. I'm gonna sit, D'Lo. I'm gonna look at this number and I'm gonna throw up.
Dr. John.
Dr. John. Doc John over here. PhD in conviction healing. Gosh,
yeah,
golly.
man.
I mean, there was a moment where the fight, where that fight looked so good for Rent Drive for Globe, but unfortunately, just pushed it a little bit too hard on that Phoenix. Hydrogen Bomb had all their ultimates and most of their relics, whereas it felt like Rent Drive for Globe had used quite a bit in the engagement just previous. So it was just a little bit too much gas. You had to go back to the station, so you didn't get stranded out in the middle of nowhere.
Hydrogen Bomb's
that was a
like
crazy game one. Yeah.
It's a house of cards. But with that Guan Yu, it's like a house of cards that also has a gigantic machine gun turret equipped to it, like military grade. So some 5-year-old really does not want Michael from kindergarten to like push it over, so they made sure it's equipped with the proper defenses. John Rowing, able to just hold on. The moment they respawned back in, things became very dire. Honestly, I really wonder, when you think back to it, if that Tier 1 had been destroyed when Rent Drive got that Lost Knight, the Phoenix is debuffed, I wonder if that goes differently, since they were able to play a bit more stacked up then beneath the structure.
Would have been a little bit smoother there for Rent Drive for Globe. Would have been able to play a little bit longer, but the real tricky part was the fact that I saw Happen get this crazy ultimate, but there was a Cabrakan wall separating Globe and Tegveer from Happen, so we couldn't even get autos through or anything through.
Look at
when
Tegveer.
Happen had scooped up those low health bars. It's just a small little misplay there. I think this might have been the moment.
Yes, it is.
We have Sunprod.
Consuming power.
Can't get the kill. Kaidon finds Tegveer with that tick damage all the way in the back. Ah, Divine Ruin. That was crazy.
Oh, man. Red Drive for I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to see them figure out the way. You don't want to believe that there's one god that just literally wins the game, but I do fear in this format, Guan Yu is that god that just wins the game. Hydrogen Bomb. Bomba. With that Guan Yu finally off the map, vaulted away. Thank God. I do not want to see you for the rest of the evening.
28k ally healing. Wow. That's almost the entirety of the damage that Kaidan took. That's almost the entirety of the damage that happened dealt.
Yep.
Like, ugh. I need a shower. That was
spooky. Rated R starts Friday. Guan Yu coming to a theater
Pretty
near
good at
you.
that. You can do that. You're pretty good at that.
We have a break coming up for you in a second. More Smite Prime Finals. Summer Bash action. We're back at you, folks. Welcome to Smite Prime, where the plays are always premium. We're at the peak, the pinnacle, potentially the very last pristine game we get to see here today for the stream. Grand Finals, Game 2. D-Lo here for the action. Musi right by my side. Tess, Morty, Jithins, your almighty eyes in the sky, and behind the curtain, keep the prod lights on. The camp steady. You watching at home. Vault Bands coming at you. Those 6 gods, including Guan Yu, they're gone. Get them out of here. All right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, let's get them out. Yeah, they're gone. All right. Yeah. Once a god is played in a best of 3 set, they can't be played again for the folks at home. If you are not caught up, don't worry. I'll have a little graphic for you in the picks and ban screen so that you can see what's going on, what's guaning on. I'll tell you what's not guaning on. Guan Yu won't be allowed in that game too. Good riddance. My God.
Yeah, man. Guan Yu, more like guano.
Crazy.
Am I right? Pu.
Oh,
He's coming at him.
I get it.
It means poop.
You know what else you get? Peas and beans. Ahoo.
Yeah.
So,
And try for globe.
and try for Globe. Guan Yu's off the board, Kerber's off the board, Bracken. Those are the big 3 that I'm really looking at here. So things we need to ban: Agni, Apwash, Aphrodite.
Afro. Yeah.
3 A gods. BT dubs. Bastet, we're going in alphabetical order, is who I would look at next. I haven't seen a lot of Bastet in
Achilles?
Joust. I just feel like she's very good. Achilles, another A god. You're right. I do like the Achilles band somewhere. Ardio, I still think is like an undervalued pick here. I feel like she could have a home. Another A god. You're noticing a trend here. You know, all the good gods start with the letter A. Interesting. Keep that in the back of your head. I feel like there's still good picks here. Sobek we saw for a bit. I feel like there's potential. Oyi has been favorited today. Atlas, Charon we've seen earlier today. Charon especially and Atlas were favorited. The last Joust tournament that we had, it very much so does feel like there are still plenty of picks to be had this go-around for these teams, even without the 6 that are down there.
Every single time we've seen it, every single time you say it, carries just have not won a single game today. So maybe just bring back the mage with a warrior and a guardian, if you're going by Smite 1 terms. Poseidon performed rather well in SAP 7, picked that one up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Sobek banned away. This is rather interesting. We still have the Aphrodite available.
Discordia!
Discordia!
Yes!
Interesting.
So, like, there are 2 mages to play right now in Smite 2. It's Discordia and Agni. And the Agni's constantly banned away. The Discordia is constantly banned away. I like to focus on the Agni because I feel like he's just a little bit better. But Discordia, again, Strife, Madness, very annoying to play with. Plus, her Golden Apple is, like, nigh impossible to miss in Joust. I feel like there are so many walls that it can bounce off of that it's bound to hit something.
That's true. Hercules, Atlas, the big beefy boys make a return on the side of Hydrogen Bomb. This time Hercules healing, though certainly potent, is a lot more selfish this go around. So Hydrogen Bomb still trying to kind of go for a similar aspect of invincibility, but a different font. Medusa, natural in-kit anti-heal, though I do shudder a little bit to see another carry returning for the losing team.
Ooh, okay. I like the Ganesha here too. Like if Hercules goes to walk up and driving strike or look for that Earthbreaker, we've got Ganesha Silence to be able to kind of keep people in place. I like Ganesha here because it's also a good pre-answer to a Bastet if Sunprod is trying to play it this go around, which
That's very
seeing
true.
the Hercules and the Atlas, maybe not, right? Because Well, Atlas
Awesome
seems to be
range.
played as like a mid laner more than often these times, so kind of depends. But I feel like another mage here would be very good for us. Hakate should have a lot of potential here. Bari, yep, that's another good
And
one,
I fear.
especially in Joust. So
Hmm.
there's yeah, the Hakate was banned, so that does leave the Bari here for us. So I like Rent Drives for Globe composition again. And Medusa always makes you kind of go, oh, I don't know, but you can get Avenging Blade. You can get out of a similar build that you were going before. I think Medusa's another character with her Viper Shot. She uses that Sunbeam Bow very well, so it's that same build that we like to see from Tegvir. But yeah, it is always kind of hard to look at these gold scaling characters and go, well, I mean, it just takes a long time for them to get up and online. Versus a Hercules is ready to go at level 3, he driving strikes you and you die. You're like, all right, that was fun. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Big Herc, Big H.
Yep.
Call him Big H.
Yeah, I know Hercules. My dad made Hercules. Princess Bari is going to be an interesting one to look at as well, since she has that get out of jail free card once more. No afro, but similar vibe as Undying Love. We're going to hop in a game to see how well she fares and to see if Hydrogen Bomb, bid farewell, rent drive for Globe. They can take the sweep right here, get that $525 grand prize. Music, take a look at what we're seeing. Anything surprising you for those first items and relics?
It is a Gilded Arrow start for Tegvir on the Medusa, which is interesting. We've mostly been seeing Death's Toll. So, means we're going to have a little bit more basic attack damage, some mana sustain if we kill the marked target, and extra gold.
Minions have spawned.
Happin's got Selflessness for the Ganesh. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Otherwise, everything else kind of feels as it should. I'm curious to see what Sunprod builds for this Atlas. Notably, no Aspect. I think ever since Atlas Aspect got reworked, a lot of people just shied away from it. Not as interested. Base Atlas still very, very strong. So we'll kind of see which direction Sunprod wants to take the build. If we have a little bit more of a frontliney, bruisery style build, or if we have, wow.
Yikes!
alive.
What the hell? Tegvir is too, thanks to that Phantom Shell, though it might not have even been necessary, but Jesus. They hate John Rowan,
Alright,
with good reason after that Guan Yu game.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Me personally, I'm taking that guy out back and like, poof, poof. Like, dang, that was crazy. Tegvir does have anti-heal on the Lacerate this go around for Medusa, and I do like that as an answer into all the healing that Hercules is going to have, because as long as Tegvir is able to connect on top of the Herc, he gets less anti-heal. Here's the asterisk on that. Happen needs to silence the Hercules while that's happening. Otherwise, it means that Hydrogen Bomb, this John rowing, is going to just driving strike the Medusa when she lacerates on top of him. Like, oh, hey, you just came to me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I could just take you wherever I want to go. So Happen and Tegvir have to stay close to each other because Medusa really fails in the avoid getting jumped on department. But Happen is a great answer to anybody that would jump onto them. Similar story for Globe, but I feel like Globe, they've got the root, the madness that can happen off of that root that they've got, and then a small little dash that kind of lowers their cooldowns. They're going to be building cooldown anyways. I feel like Globe can just kind of play at range and kind of hang out. This walking position that you see here is exactly how I want to see them positioned most of the time. Like Tegvir and Happen playing next to each other, and Globe just a little bit behind.
A merry band of wanderers. Let's see if Rent Drive for Globe, though, can keep up that merriment as the game continues. Because let me ask you this much. We, last game, had a perfect prediction on your part. We're waiting to level 20. Is it the same story this time around for both teams?
So I'm looking. And I see a stunned catch on Sunprod. Hold that thought.
Holy crap! What an amazing CZ chain in response to the attempt of the
Mario.
suck. But they're still somehow alive, and
Oh!
now the laser comes through. Tegvir's in trouble as well.
Tegvir!
Look who's on the front lines. John Rowing wants revenge. Earthbreaker ready. They won't find it. The remove obstacles removes the threat. And now Globe should be safe as well. Hercules is still present on the front lines, but unless they get the Earthbreaker, finds the driving strike. Noah, great silence, but the beads forced out from Disco, and now Ganesh in the fray is able to survive the Astrolabe being tossed on top. Tegvir's back with a bit more health in tow, but still no death. This is a far more aggressive start than we've seen before.
Oh man, I saw Tegvir walk up and I knew exactly what that Medusa wanted because that was a juicy acid spray in the making there, but not going to be able to find it. Oh my goodness. Okay, a couple of things happened that fight that was insane, right? Because it looked like for a moment that Happen was going to be able to get a kill, but Kaidan's ultimate keeps John Rowing and Sunprod alive so that they won't get knocked down. And then Tegvir's up a little bit too far, but what did I tell you? As long as Happen is next to Tegvir, that silence turns Hercules into a walking hunk of meat, right? It's just a traffic cone. The dude doesn't do anything. If you want to talk about who wins in the late game, I'm looking at Rent Drive for Globe. If Happen is able to find stuns and Globe and Tegvir follow up, it's good damage.
Happen. Eat some good damage of their own. The rock knocks them up, and John Rowing brings them down. First blood this time goes to Hydrogen Bomb.
Oh, the spiritual first blood went to Red Drive for Globe in my eyes, but that's okay. Hydrogen Bomb can have the first real one. Hercules is a character that is going to scale very well towards that late game too, just because it becomes harder and harder to kill as time goes on. Kaidan will have burst damage as well. You know, I feel like both of these teams are going to be happy to hit late game, to be honest. I don't think one particularly wins out over the other. The more that I think about it, what a good dash!
Whoa! Kaidan going to be turned into a stone statue in the midst of the blue buff pit. John Rowing is sticking around a little bit as half health, liable to potentially be killed if they're caught out by another CC combination. But Globe and Tegvir just working very well together as a backline.
Tegvir, in particular, I want to see keep the pressure on. Medusa's a character that does a lot of damage early on. She's got really solid base numbers, and she's able to apply a lot of damage really quickly off of Viper Shot, especially when they've got Learning Bow there too. So, Rent Drive for Globe, happy to hit late game, but definitely have an early game advantage. And I think that is where the real conversation is. Who can put their foot on the gas pedal harder in this early game to force the other team into an unfavorable situation as we translate over towards the later game? And I'm staring at this Medusa. I'm staring at Tegvir. I'm looking at this playmaker. And I'm thinking to myself, as long as we are not punished for lacerating people, Rent Drive for Globe is in the driver's seat. They get to dictate how and where this car is going and what they get to do with it. Plus, Rent Drive for Globe have way better objective burn with this Medusa as well. We could take a look at an early Lost Night, just off of Viper Shot being as good as it is for burning through health bars.
Oh, dash right forward through the suck. Happen does not want to get plucked here today. 6 minutes in, it's 1-1. Gold lead about even, but slight advantage, you could say, the way of Hydrogen Bomb. The current incumbent victors, yeah, 86. See a stick of gum. Nice.
I've seen this one. That's a picture of birds flying. Saw that ink blot test. Double shell. John Rowing and Sunprod are gonna be very, very tanky, but the real important part of this is the fact that now we have a bunch of shells and a bunch of beads. The CC that we are beadsing away from Rent Drive for Globe, I think the sneaky CC to beads is the silence from Happen. Like, if we are able to beads through the silence and stay aggressive on top of targets, that is going to sucker punch Tegvir. Like, they're not going to be quite ready for that. So Rent Drive for Globe, now the focus becomes we have to be able to burn away these beats. We have to threaten those out so that we can continue our game plan.
Last strike comes through, but the driving strike was already out. So John Rowing is actually able to escape. But it certainly is a little preview of the vision. Happen knocks them up, and then it's very easy for Tegvir to follow up with a well-timed lacerate to keep them in place for a bit longer. But is John Rowing going to be the same prio target as before? Is the House of Cards all built on the foundations of this Herc?
No. John Rowing's role in this is going to be a little bit different than the role of the Guan Yu that they were playing in the last game. I feel like John is going to be a little bit more important in terms of setting and establishing things for CC. And it puts, I feel, a little bit more pressure on Kaidan to position a little bit more smart, knowing that we don't have those Guan heals happening constantly. And honestly puts pressure on John not to get caught out. You know, ooh, Petrifying Gaze, not quite there, but maybe a follow-up for Hydrogen Bomb.
Well, the laser's down, but Bit of
Not
a
really,
half-hearted
no.
attempt there from Sunprod. Very nonchalant laser. Turns away, is like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, not quite there. But there's a couple of things that I'm bouncing around in my head. I'm thinking so fast trying to get it out. Basically, Run Try for Globe can be more aggressive this game than they were in the last game, because we don't have Guan healing. John Rowing cannot take as much damage as they were before, because they're playing the Hercules, not the Guan. Their heal isn't going to be up as frequently. Kaidan as well can't be as aggressive because they don't have Guan healing to cover up any poke damage that they take. Rent Drive for Globe has a significant amount of poke damage with Acid Spray from Tegvir and the Unstable Magic from Globe. Being able to throw out those balls and then pew, 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 just ping you with things, right? You get pinged by a little ball, you're taking Soul Reaver damage. It's annoying. Very in form for Discordia. And then, Rent Drive for Globe have really solid engage off of Happen. Hydrogen Bomb have to get to late game if they want to play the game. Otherwise, they just get cooked.
Pulled off the Magi's cloak from the elephant, but Happen doesn't seem too much worse for wear because of it. And like you said, those ping-pong balls that the Unruly Magic tosses out, those yellow numbers you see as a result, Globe with the erratic movement steps back and tosses back the poke in their own right. Meanwhile, on the left side, it's a 2v2, but nothing too much being born from it. Game pace has been certainly slowed down in comparison to the opening 5 minutes we saw, and with that, the gold lead continues to be at a stalemate.
Not ideal in my eyes for Rent Drive for Globe. Really want to see them stay aggressive. Hydrogen Bomb are playing the game of, let's just not play with them, right? Let's just take a couple of steps back, don't give in to the pressure, don't give in to the urge, and farm our late game. Working out so far, right? Kaidan has the Spear of Desolation and the Chronos Pendant. Ratatahuti's on the way. We see the Double Evil Eye. And then Tegvir, it looks like Titan's Bane should be here soon. So that'll be the penetration we need to address the tankiness that John Rowing and Sunprod have. Because they do have a fair amount of prots already in the build. Especially with that Spirit Robe. Very good into the Ganesh, because Ganesh has so much CC. The Spirit Robe is constantly proccing, adding additional defenses and heals there as well. It's going to make the Hercules hard to kill. So a Chin's Blade in the future of Tegvir would not be bad, but I wonder if we ever get
Globe by
to see it.
himself! Gonna be able to
though.
get out thanks to the CC immunity from the Golden Apple of Discord. Couldn't risk it. Actually got hit with it was Kaidan, so they're a bit poked out as well. Sticks begin. The pillar as well. Decent damage on top of John Rowing. Drops the boulder.
like this.
Only going to be able to hit the Medusa in the back. Try and Gaze comes out as well.
Oh.
Disco's knocked up and driving strike against the wall and now sucked back in. She's in trouble. Globe is going to be taken out by Kaidan. Nursing low health bar has happened. Tegvir has got it back to base, and that's going to open up this Lost Knight easily for Hydrogen Bomb.
Globe having to use their ultimate so quickly there. The fact that Rent Drive for Globe continued the chase, wasn't a big fan of that, especially because those Dharmic Pillars from Ganesh were a little bit off the mark. Tegvir, ooh, that was scary. Wonder if they wanted to go for the steal. Hydrogen Bomb, know that. And back up, but you see that tether there, D'Lo. It's going to be a doublet of binding. Happen connected to Tegvir. And again, I continue to like this play because I want to see Ganesh and the Medusa playing next to each other. And with this doublet of binding, Tegvir is going to be taking less damage based on the amount of dampening that Happen has. They'll have 5 to start, but Happen has been building a lot of things like Mantle of Discord, the Shroud of Vengeance I've seen a few times here. So we'll have Tenacity, we'll have Dampening available in our builds. And that'll enable Happen and Tegvir to kind of play up front, but also next to each other. So now, becomes a waiting game once again. Really waiting for Rent Drive for Globe to get a couple of items online. More penetration for Globe, right? We have that Totem of Death. Now we just need Op Shard. But with Titan's Bane online for Tegvir, looks like we're going to build a Hunter's Bow and a regular bow. That could be like an Audi bow on the corner. But I think we need a Combat Blink. Like 5th or 6th item slot. Looks like if it's going to come at all, it's going to be 6th item slot. But you need to stay very maneuverable into and around a Hercules, because if you're within their zone of getting plucked and driving striked, it's just very, very tough to play into.
Yeah, unfortunately so. Happen, unfortunately, losing once again that Maddie's cloak. You gotta remember, not only the close range suck that everyone really fears, that abduct from the Atlas that can get your goat and get your bubble popped. It's also just the at range one when you toss out the Astrolabe with the Unburden. It's very easy, undedicated CC that can force off that protective shell from happening. Sure, it's a cooldown being used by Sunprod, but well, I'm sure they're happy to, since now there's 65 seconds without any protection for the Elephant.
Luckily, we're able to ohm away a pluck there. John Rowing getting very aggressive here, and they can do that because they've got the Height of the Nemean to soak and reflect back a lot of damage, as long as they're able to kind of live through that burst. But at this stage, until we get those extra layers of prots, I feel like the Hercules will be able to survive quite a bit, especially because a lot of the way that we kill these tanks is, all right, we CC them in place, so that we go, ham bone crazy.
Happens got no bubble. Means they had no safety there from the pluck. The follow-up, though, wasn't too significant. Kai'Don still's got to get on quite a lot more damage before they're really fearsome. Ratatouille is online. They have one regular eye if you're me, one evil eye if you're Musy. Atlas gets thrown up to the sky. Making quite a lot of space at the moment is Sunprod. Maybe their own detriment, but doesn't seem like Ren Tri for Globe want to punish them for being so far forward.
Feels like Hydrogen Bomb were able to get enough tank online where it's kind of hard to punish them when they walk forward. And now we're kind of reliant on our tank shred items instead of our base numbers to keep these guys in check. There's the Audi bow there for Tegvir. Chin's Blade is what we really need for John Rowing and for Sunprod if we want to be able to take them off the board. Like, it's good to have extra attack speed, functions very well with Medusa just because she just holds left click like none other. But we need some on-hit effects to go with all this attack speed. So that way we can really make good use of all the Learning Bow, Dagger, Frenzy, Audi Bow that we got here. Chin's Blade is perfect in my mind because you have Yogi's Necklace, got a Height of the Nemean Lion, like, there's a lot of health on these items. A lot of health on these characters. Just look at those health bars. They're massive.
Immense, for sure. Good enough to happen, really, to start these fights, and this might be a chance. Hold on. Viper shots following the obstacles, but even then, it's still not too much damage. Petrifying Gaze happens in the back line, drops down the pillars. Globe and Tegvir have got to catch up, but they find John Rowing blocking their path. That's enough to force Tegvir to dash, not forward, but back. Leaving happen potentially to the Wolves. They have a dash of their own to stay safe with. And you started off with what you might have wanted happen, locks down John Rowing, but all of a sudden it turns tail when John Rowing realizes, wait a second, I'm not Guan Yu. I can do damage.
Yeah, that's the other part of this. Like, John Rowing might not be able to sustain as much for himself and for his team, but the pluck and the driving strike are here to be able to kind of move people around the battlefield and deal a significant amount of damage to them. Even the Hercules Boulder. Am I nuts? Yeah, okay, yeah. I was about to say, I haven't even seen a Hercules Boulder all game. I'm lying.
You definitely have.
I definitely have. I'm so... Eyes have been elsewhere. But that's another tool of a knock-up. Good ricochets. For the same reason why I like the Golden Apple, I like the Herc Boulder in Joust, because it can get so many ricochets off. Get a bunch of extra damage through. In this corridor. I don't like this. Happens all separated.
But they don't really seem to mind. Happens doing a good job just kind of staying safe under pressure. Under pressure. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Push it down on me. Push it down on me.
There's been nothing to push down.
Coming soon.
Heyo, Jithens.
Heyo.
Greenlight it. Please. 17 minutes. 1-2. Even again. This game's going to go the distance. Why?
Look at that gold chart. Just back and forth. That's crazy. Happen getting
He's down for Sun.
body blocked in here. I don't know why I'm getting excited.
Yeah, for
It's
real,
fine.
dude. The beads down for Sunprod, that is exciting because there's no follow-up off of Happens to remove obstacles, so that's definitely a good call-out, but again, will it be taken advantage of? Well, that's a story for another day.
You know, I really do feel we're just going to be, and both Hydrogen Bomb and us are going to be sitting here chilling. Not a whole lot going on, right? Like game
Sit
game,
down.
everybody's going to doing whatever. And Tegvir's going to walk over and solo a Lost Knight. That's just going to happen.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden Hydrogen Bomb's like, oh, I guess. Right. I forgot. It's It's a late game ADC. There's that combat blink we were talking about before. That's good stuff. You know, we are level 20 at this point too. We could upgrade that gilded arrow, get that diamond arrow, so we have extra gold that we get off all our stuff. Not too bad, but combat blink especially very good for Tegvir. Just that extra layer of maneuverability that I feel Medusa lacks sometimes. I always say that she's kind of easy to kill. She dashes away. If you can catch up to her, she's just like, well, you got me. Hands up, Walter White gif. You got me. What am I supposed to do about this? I can't turn and burn you, you're a tank. Especially when they pop Nemean on you. Tanks are super good. But now with this combat blink, there's a little bit more maneuverability. Oh, we sold the bow. Why did we sell the bow? To upgrade our starter item. There it is. So now we've got a little bit of crit online.
Nice.
Some extra attack damage, basic attack damage for Tegvir. So that'll be good. That'll be good for Rent Traffic Glove. Actually, with that little bit of crit, now I really would expect to see us take a look at that Lost Night, because crit's really good for, you know, being able to take down these objectives. But it's Hydrogen Bomb. They're there first.
Tidon. Up between the pillars. Decides to eat the damage to try to flee the scene a bit earlier. Objective still leashed.
Long
Knock
wrap
up there,
from
bleeds
Tegvir.
away. Globe still in the back being harassed by Sunprod in the Astrolabe. Can they charge forward? They won't be part of this fight, but the
Double
Petromine Gaze does
stun!
find two. But a great Bari, not going to find the ult enough time to stay alive.
Night!
Tegvir goes down right afterwards. John Rowing gets the knockup on top of Happen that stalls their retreat for enough time for Sunprod to try to block their advance. Happen will be able to get out. That Dragon Strike actually might have helped them with that endeavor. A 1-for-1 overall. Carry for carry.
Man, the Lost Knight hooks on top of Tegvir to get that damage. And that's part of why the Medusa fell down. Tragic. But Hydrogen Bomb don't have the damage to do anything with it because we're double tanks. Like, Sunprod, or John Rowing rather, is hitting that tower in the back. Oh, we're just giving it up, I guess. Never mind. All right. Maybe they can do something. Maybe tanks are allowed to do something. But man, Tegvir had such a crazy wraparound and was able to get that double stun off from their ult, but was only able to kill Kaidon because these tanks are just so big. Looks like we do have
Also-
an Alchemist code for Happen. So, sweet. Extra int.
Nice. Let's see if maybe this. Let's see if take two of this fight goes any better. Lost Knight is still available after all. But I think also Kaidon's ultimate stalled for enough time that they had to dedicate a bit more attention before you could finally turn towards John Rowing. And again, John Rowing is by no means helpless. They have tools in their own kit, naturally, to just get damage across. Also, just want a little mythology drop here. It's just kind of a thematic, consistent fact that this Hercules has the height of the Nemean Lion. Love that. One of the 12 labors.
Very cool. John
This
Rowing
pause is
also
less cool,
opted
though.
for a Berserker Shield as their last item in their build. That does make a lot of sense. I'm sure a lot of us have seen the Deathwalker video at this point talking about those protection items that are increasing your protections by a percentage amount, the Rada Tahuti prod items. The logic here, and what this Berserker Shield is able to do for us, is you drop below a certain health threshold, your prots are increased by like 15% or something good like that. If John Rowing takes some CC, eats a bunch of damage, falls below that health threshold, they get a bunch of prots from their Spirit Robe and from their Berserker Shield. Then you pop your Pridwin, which is then going to make your health shield huge, right? And it's interesting that we're like now catching up to this, because I very specifically remember we had a solo lane meta where it was like you're building Berserkers, Spirit Robe, Pridwin, Bellona like every single game. And this was the build. You did this every single game. And like it's just that but more, because now we have like Dwarven play and Draconic Scale seeing a lot. Because Draconic Scales ended up getting picked up pretty heavily because Bluestone came up and you're able to instantly stack it. Oh, that's why we see the Berserkers for John Rowing. Not because we want extra attack speed, but just because we want even more tankiness.
It's a blast from the past in the Summer Bash. John Rowing says, "You will remember," and just brings it back.
Hello.
We'll see if it ends up working out for them. And goodbye to the pillars. They're down. Solid knock up there. Oh, turn around for that Petrifying Gaze. The Nemean's out. That means Tegvir's got to dash away, scared of that John rowing potential. Globe being just hunted by Sunprod, soloed up beneath their own Phoenix, but Tegvir's there to meet their maker. Sunprod might be in trouble, but no, a kinetic charge actually gets them enough distance. Now Tegvir's in trouble. Good blink out from the boulder's reach. Instead, Happen is going to be the next one up for the chopping block, and the Bari finished the job. Another Earthbreaker. Happen is gone. All courtesy of John Rowing's plucks and Sunprod's pluckiness, hunting down Globe all across the map.
Yeah, I mean, Globe just doesn't have a great answer into Atlas. The way that they just run at them and chase them down. Nemeans are down for 20 seconds. Tegvir has a chance to play here, but it's not a big window.
Oh, the Vipers are down. Tegvir is going to immune that suck, but can't now immune the Earthbreaker, buddy. That means you're toast. Phoenix is going to be now disabled, courtesy the Lost Night buff picked up by all 3 members of Hydrogen Bomb. And Rent Drive for Globe looking like they might be in trouble.
It's not great. It's not good. Not good at all. Rent Drive for Globe. Hydrogen Bomb are able to hit their late game stride, and our tanks are very tanky. Got Draconic Scales there for Sunprod, which extra good into Medusa. She hits you with 1 Viper shot, so none of you're fully stacked, right? Like, it is just kind of good. And Globe has a bunch of damage that they're constantly throwing out, so Sunprod and John Rowing get to live 5 ever through all the damage that Tegvir and Globe are going to be dealing. Kaidon's job in the back at this point is to press buttons and to hang out and play video games. That bird's gonna go down. If you're Rent Drive for Globe, it really just is the outplay angle. If we want to be able to kill one of these tanks, it's gonna take a family. It's gonna take a village to be able to take them down.
Get Vin Diesel!
That's so hard to do. Yeah, right. It's so hard to do, though, because Hide of the Nemean is an item that exists in these builds. They basically say, hey, while I pop this, if you kit dump on top of me, you die. It's especially dangerous for Tegvir, who's rocking this crit multiple attack speed item build. We don't have any on-hit effects, so we're really just rocking the Viper shot to abuse the attack speed that we got here and the crit here, too. That's tough. Very, very, very tough.
Dude.
Especially because,
Shout
like,
out.
Double Shell of Rebuke means that, like, you take less basic attack damage, so you take less crit damage. Sorry, shoutouts.
Shoutouts to Genji's Guard and Sphere of Negation. Sunprod is a globe-seeking missile. There is nothing that Discordia can
Yes.
do to put a dent in that health bar, and that's why you see them seeking out this Discordia with such efficacy. Happen on the front line, still has that Magi's intact. Doesn't matter that much. The knock-up, sure, but again, where's the follow-up? That Viper shot does a bit of damage, but still not too afraid if your name is Sun Prodigy. In fact, you're making forays up to the front. John Rowing's got to make sure they're being careful, but the fire waves will start to pour forth, and we'll start to bait abilities. Rent Drive for Globe have got to clear out the minions to have hope for their Titan to stay alive. Great knock up there! The driving strike back.
Driving
Tegvir's got
strike.
no choice but forward. Does not matter. They're already dead. Sunprod drops the laser, drops the snake. Kaidon's still alive and has ult in pocket, and Globe's got to get the hell away from Sunprod.
Happen's gonna duke it out, has the opportunity to maybe kill Kaidon, but John Rowing will keep them away as Sunprod keeps away Globe. 3 strong, but Kaidon's very low. You have to be careful not to get pinged by one of Globe's abilities.
Globe does not have that ultimate. I'm not sure if that's been a call-out, but I'm sure Hydrogen Bomb see the end in sight. Rent Drive for Globe. Last chance is on here. Globe's got to stand 10 toes down. Does dodge the boulder, but the fire waves you see pouring in spell doom for the team as the Aegis is the last thing that Globe can do to stay safe. Turns out that Globe might be living out of the car for a bit.
Oh.
Hydrogen Bomb take it in 2.
Man, both John Rowing and Kaidon were so low in the back there, but unfortunately, none of the damage from Globe was able to connect on top of it. So it just means that Titan goes down and first place prize goes bye-bye. Oh my lord. Those were incredible Joust games. Really good early game from Rent Drive for Globe, but unfortunately nothing ever really came of it. Hydrogen Bomb was able to take a few steps back so that we could get all the way to that late game, finish our builds, and then once that happened, Hercules and the Atlas are just unkillable. And the Hercules was designed to put the Medusa in a box, and the Atlas was designed to shove the Discordia into a locker, right? And like Happen is up there playing their heart out, trying to make something happen. But it feels like while he has to deal with, 3 people, Rent Drive for Globe are, or rather, Hydrogen Bomb are each fighting their own individual battles, it felt like. Like, Prod is gunning at Globe. You have John Rowan gunning at Tegvir. And now happens like, how do I save both of you? I just can't do it. And Kaidon's like, hi, I'm not getting run at by a tank. So I'm just going to press buttons on everybody and win the video game. Yippee! I love video games. Like, it's exactly how it panned out.
Yeah, well done on their part. Hydron Bomb had a really solid plan, and they performed it to fruition. You really can't fault them for just dedicated craft. There was Sunprod was just meant to kill Globe, and John Rowing was kind of meant to kill Tegvir, which is kind of a shame considering that Tegvir also, in a sense, was supposed to kill John Rowing, that lacerate. But I don't like a game plan where a carry has to dash into a tank, especially one that is so easily capable of CCing you back into your own team's backline. So I feel like there was just a few nitpicks there at the drafting board that caused Rent Drive for Globe to be playing from the start on the back foot. Nonetheless, they gave it a good old college try, but it's Hydrogen Bomb that can pay for that sweet, sweet college tuition for Sun Prodigy.
Man, Sunprod's got to be getting in some pretty crazy good schools because you've been scooping up quite a bit of Smite Prime.
Have you been to Harvard?
Like, yeah, like, have you been? Are you going to Harvard? Because you might be able to get there at this point. It's looking pretty solid.
Full ride Smite scholarship, but the prize money is still pretty good. Let's take a look at what we got going here for our grand victors. 525 here for the NA Joust tournament. Summer Bash, Smite Prime. Pow! Nice work there, pals. You'll certainly deserved it. Bracket here to see how we even arrived at this crazy kooky scene. Musy, a lot of teams here, all participated. Some rose, some fell early, but nonetheless, they all tried their gosh darndest. I think that deserves some accolades.
Yes. Really big shout outs, I think. The thing is, I was surprised to see them eliminate off of quarterfinals, but knowing that they lost to Rent Drive for Globe makes sense. And Avengers 2 beat out to Doon's Basement. Never had a chance to see them, but I'm sure that was another really solid team out there.
Summer Bash action continues throughout. Summer's not over. Neither should the fun, neither should the prize pools. $8,100 being doled out across the Summer Bash events. We still got more stuff going down, such as, for example, NA Conquest on July 11th. Got some more cash prize, 2,000 schmackaroonies to be exact. And that's not even the end of the fun. EU Conquest on the 18th, once again, across the pond. We make sure to spread the love out.
I feel like there's going to be some more in the back pocket here, D'Lo. Maybe some more Joust action that we can have over there on the 25th. It's NA Joust, back at it again in that NA region. But we've also got a little something else for our friends across the pond, right? We got that EU Joust 2 around the corner.
Ooh.
On August 1st. Bomba!
Nice. That's all that matters, folks, is that we still make sure to keep supplying. You know, you'll want more competitive Smite 2 action. We give you more competitive Smite 2 action. Let's just, see less healers. I'm tired. I'm sick and gosh darn tired. But it was still some really good Smite all around today. Unfortunately, that Grand Finals victory, that's all we got for you here today on Summer Bash, Smite Prime, and NA Joust. Thank you very much for watching. I've been D'Lo, joined here in the booth by my companion Musicland, Almighty Eyes in the Sky, the Morton Man, and Test Die. Jithin's behind the curtain. Please thank our production for all they do. We could not yell at games without them. And last, but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you've enjoyed these series just as much as we have. Keep an eye on this guy for more Smite Prime content coming at you, as well as Mercy Bees up next on the Smite Games stream. Until next time, though, good games and good night.